Are you finding Sydney?
Are you looking right now?
I know we have to start the meeting.
She goes out into the.
Rewind.
No, go forward more.
If anyone wants to see Lady Gaga and Sydney.
More.
Send the link.
Okay, go back.
Here for this.
Go up more.
Don't look at that.
Up more.
The Lady Gaga picture.
Forward.
Forward. Forward.
Okay.
There's
There's a lot going on in this video.
There it is. Okay. So you're gonna see them all talking. That's me right there. Keep going. Keep going.
Oh, it's Sydney.
Yeah, right.
It's definitely you. Oh my God, we have to get your autograph.
And then
Wow.
that's us talking. And then we gotta walk through. I want you to pause. Right. Yeah, wait, not there. Going.
We have to be.
And instead of saying, there's a big It's
Who is that?
telephone video, Lady Gaga.
Write that down. I'm sitting watching on the big screen.
It's so funny. Yeah, I didn't expect, when you do videos, you never expect what they're gonna use. So it's always interesting.
Excellent.
I was in a White Snake video washing a car.
80s.
Stop it. You can pull that up
Look
too.
it up.
Oh my God.
Are too
Serious.
funny.
It's amazing.
In fact,
Here, you. Just mine.
Let's do this.
wonder.
Oh.
Wait, what? Right. Buenos dias, good morning. Today is Friday, April 18, 2025 at 9:34 a.m. and we're calling to order the LA County Commission. Our name is Dr. Trinidad Plasencia, our pronouns are they, them, we, us, and we are the chair of this commission. The purpose of the LGBTQ Commission is to advise the LA County Board of Supervisors, departments, and commissions on all matters affecting the well-being of the LGBTQ plus community and people. LGBTQ Commission meetings are once a month, open to the public and governed by the Brown Act and Robert's Rules of Order. We invite the public and all impacted trans and queer people and allies to provide public comment on today's agenda. For each item, we'll discuss the relevant item amongst the commissioners. Then we'll move into identified motions, ask the public for comment before going into any vote. This ensures the public knows what we're commenting on, what they're commenting on, and the commissioners can hear the public before voting. When you speak during the meeting, we ask that you share your pronouns. Practicing pronouns teach us to move away from binary thinking, expand a limited view of reality, and remind us of how someone wants to be treated. If there are LGBTQ specific events upcoming in the next month, the best place to make announcements about that is at the end during matters not posted. Lastly, we're excited to have Commissioner Martin, appointed by Supervisor Juan, join us today. Welcome. We're happy to have you here. Thank you to Commission Services team and to our staff for helping organize this meeting. Our management analyst, Annie Patpatian, will explain how people attending in person and online can participate. Gracias, Annie.
Good morning. My name is Annie Patpatian, LGBTQ plus commission staff, and I go by she and hers. Before we begin our meeting today, let us take this opportunity to inform the public that there will be an opportunity for public comment on each agenda item, and at the end of the meeting for items not on the agenda. For items on the agenda, the item will be presented. Any presentation that is to be made will be heard, and we will hear public comment before the commission discusses the item or takes any action. Easiest way to make public comment during the meeting is if you're present in person, please complete the speaking card. Staff will call you at the appropriate agenda item. For those who are on WebEx or call in, you may use the raise hand feature on your phone, on your computer, or press *3 on your phone. The hand raise feature will show. We'll call on you by name on the order received or by the 6 prefix number of your phone. Staff will unmute you and you will need to press *6 on your side to be able to speak or follow the instructions you hear from your service provider. Once you have spoken, please lower your hand from your computer or *3 from your phone. Commenters will have 2 minutes today. I will now proceed with the roll call. Commissioner Abraham,
Present.
Commissioner Arnson,
Present.
Commissioner Fisher,
Present.
Commissioner Conval-Buena. Absent. Commissioner Elliott,
Present.
Commissioner Martin,
Present.
Commissioner Martinez,
Present.
Commissioner Soria,
Present.
Commissioner Vasquez,
Present.
Commissioner Whittington.
Present.
Second Vice Chair Russell Slavin,
Here.
Vice Chair Rogers,
Present.
and Chair Placidia.
Aye.
I have a quorum.
Perfect, gracias, Annie. With 12 commissioners present out of 15 total seats on the commission, we have a quorum. Executive Director Menon will now share the land acknowledgement.
Thank you. To respect the land we're on today and the community from which it was taken, I will give the land acknowledgement. The County of Los Angeles recognizes that we occupy land originally and still inhabited and cared for by the Tongva, Tataviam, Serrano, Quiche, and Chumash peoples. We honor and pay respect to their elders and descendants, past and present, and emerging as they continue their stewardship of these lands and waters. We recognize that settler colonization resulted in land seizure, disease, subjugation, slavery, and relocation, broken promises, genocide, and multi-generational trauma. This acknowledgement demonstrates our responsibility and commitment to truth, healing, and reconciliation, and to elevating the stories, culture, and community of the original inhabitants of Los Angeles County. We are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on these ancestral lands. We are dedicated to growing and sustaining relationships with Native peoples and local tribal governments, including in no particular order, the Fernandillo Tataviam Band of Mission Indians, Gabrielino Tongva Indians of California Tribal Council, Gabrielino Tongva San Gabriel Band of Mission Indians, Gabrielino Band of Mission Indians Quiche Nation, San Manuel Band of Mission Indians, San Fernando Band of Mission Indians. To learn more about the First Peoples of Los Angeles County, please visit the Los Angeles City County Native American Indian Commission website.
Gracias, Sunita. We will now have Vice Chair Rogers share the Black Diaspora land and labor acknowledgement.
Yes, we begin by honoring the Black diaspora, the foundation of resilience, brilliance, and liberation movements. Black, queer, trans, and non-binary leaders have been at the forefront of every fight for justice, often without recognition. Yet we must also acknowledge an undeniable truth. The wealth of this nation, its industries, institutions, and economic power was built on the unpaid labor and forced servitude of enslaved Africans. Black labor built this country, yet Black communities continue to face systemic oppression and exclusion. Some of us arrived here as settlers, some as immigrants, and some were stolen and forced into servitude through the transatlantic slave trade. This history is not just the past, it shapes the injustices of today. As an LGBTQ plus commission, we do more than acknowledge these truths. We commit to action. We amplify Black voices, demand racial and economic justice, and ensure our work is intersectional, accountable, and transformative. Black liberation is queer liberation. Black trans lives matter. And our solidarity is unwavering today, tomorrow, and always. In this time of increasing attacks on our most vulnerable communities, Black, Indigenous, immigrant, undocumented, trans, gender expansive, disabled, and those at the intersections, we reaffirm our commitment to justice, equity, and radical inclusion. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, are not just ideals. They are necessary for survival and liberation. We uplift our trans, gender expressive, and intersex siblings and stand with immigrant communities, both documented and undocumented, in their fight for dignity and safety. We reject the forces that seek to divide us and instead choose solidarity as our strength. Let this be our declaration. No one is disposable. Every voice matters. Every life is sacred. And together we will not only resist oppression, but build a future where all of us, without exception, can thrive. Because, in the words of Fannie Lou Hamer, we are not free until all of us are free.
Gracias, Vice Chair Rogers, for authoring and finalizing this document. For those of you who may be joining us for the first time, this was voted and approved to be read at all LGBTQ commission meetings, and we will be doing so moving forward. We will now be moving into a moment of silence. We will take a moment of silence to remember those trans and queer people that we have lost, trans and queer LGBTQ people that are to come, and the trans and queer LGBTQ people that we are tasked with caring for in present day. This moment is the duration of 3 breaths, one for our past, future, and present, trans and queer given and chosen lineage. Trans and queer people have always existed and will always exist. Therefore, we all have trans and queer people within our lineage. As a tool, we invite you to breathe through your nose and out through your mouth to focus on being present, in through your mouth and out through your nose to focus on your words for today. Let's begin. Yes, everyone. That ends our moment of silence. Excuse us. And now a note on virtual participation, an announcement. Before we move into item 4, we would like to make everyone aware that as indicted during the roll call, Commissioner Fisher will be joining us virtually as permitted by the traditional teleconferencing provisions of the Brown Act from the 1237 West Oak Crest Drive, Palm Springs, California, 92264.
Okay.
Over in Palm Springs today and are live on video. Gracias for joining us and while traveling, Commissioner Fisher. Now we'll move into the agenda administrative matters. Item number 5, approval of March meeting minutes. Item number 5 is the approval of March 14, 2025 meeting minutes, which all commissioners received to review with the agenda. Any commissioner feedback? Question revision? Motions to approve.
Motion to approve.
Gracias. Motion to approve the meeting minutes for March 14, 2025 by Commissioner Abraham,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Arnson. Public comment.
Have 2 individuals who would like to speak.
2 virtual public and 0 in person. We'll begin with virtual public comment. We have Audit LA. Unmuted.
Is this for the agenda item or, because I'm here to talk on just regular public comment?
That will be at the end. That will be item number, item number 13.
Okay, and is it 2 minutes for the entire meeting, or if I see something I do want to speak on, like how much time in total?
It'll be 2 minutes each item that you assign for.
Okay, thank you. I'll just put my hand up when I want to speak. I'm sorry, it's my first time at this meeting, but thank you.
Thank you for coming, and yes, it will be each time that you want to address, just raise your hand for the item that you want to speak on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next person is
Yes.
Henry Marini.
WebEx Assistant is enabled to
Hi.
save audio
Good morning,
highlights.
board. I also want to echo Audit LA's comments. It's my first time here, but I will hold off on my comments for the agenda items and general public comment section. Thank you.
Thank you. There are no more public virtual speakers, nor there are any public in person.
Gracias and welcome. With that, we'll move into vote. All in favor of approving a March 2025 meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any objections?
Sustain, I wasn't at the meeting.
Of course, abstention. With 11 ayes and 1 abstentions, the motion is approved. Gracias, everyone. Moving discussion to discussion and actions to item number 6, discuss and take possible action on approving state budget and bill proposal recommendations from the commission to be forwarded to the LA County Chief Executive Office of Legislative Affairs and Intergovernmental Relations, also known as the CEO Lair Division. Wow. This is important. This is big. Thank you, everyone. So the first portion of this will be from the CEO Lair's office. Amanda Meir is joining us virtually today. Amanda is the Special Strategics Project Coordinator, and she will be explaining how commissions work with the CEO Lair's office on budget and bill recommendations. After her report, Second Vice Chair Russell Slavin will discuss the attached budget and bill priorities. Amanda, gracias for being here and sharing your expertise. We turn it over to you.
Well, thank you and good morning, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to come and present at your wonderful commission. As was stated, my name is Amanda Meir and my pronouns are she, her. I do have a PowerPoint presentation that I can share that it just able to kind of guide our conversation. If that is helpful, so go ahead and give me 1 second and I will start it.
One moment, Executive Director Menon, she or they pronouns, just mentioning that we did not receive the presentation ahead of time. So council, are we allowed to share this since it wasn't provided to the public?
Broadcast it now.
Okay. Amanda, it can be broadcasted.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that this is perfect. Hopefully you can see this.
Yes, we can, Amanda.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So I am going to, my apologies. For some reason, my computer is being just a little bit slower today. So as was stated, my name is Amanda Meir, pronouns are she, her, and I work in the Chief Executive Office branch of Legislative Affairs and Intergovernmental Relations. And I'm just going to briefly kind of go over the work that our branch does in coordination with the commissions of LA County and how we can best work together to advance the priorities of the LGBTQ+ Commission. Is it working?
To see the title of your presentation, I don't know if you went to the next slide.
I'm unsure. Oh, there it is.
Now
I
we
think I
see the
figured it
next
out.
slide. And Amanda, are you talking quite a bit close to your laptop? Because it sounds a little bit muffled.
Sure. Yeah, I can speak up. Hopefully that is a little bit easier for everyone to hear.
Yes, that's great. Thank you.
Perfect. And so we're going to just kind of give, as a good starting off point, at the public facing page of our website, which is on ceo.lacounty.gov. This is what I call our one-stop shop for all things that are legislative affairs and intergovernmental relations that are affiliated with our branch. You will see
Amanda,
that
I'm sorry, you're becoming muffled again.
I am unsure on why this is happening. I never have difficulties with my, let me double check.
Do you think you could, we could give you like maybe a minute and maybe called in and do your presentation?
Sure, I can
double
try
duty?
that if you would. Yeah, perfect. Give me 1 second and let me see if I can adjust this. I apologize, everyone, for this.
Worries. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. It's the best of us.
Especially in this room.
Especially in this room. We can't control it. It helps to laugh a little when it does, because
It's Friday. The technology's on vacation already.
Ready.
we all.
Let me double check. I'm unsure. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Let me go.
Using the same, this is Ivana, Amanda, sorry. Are you using the same settings that we do for commission, your commission?
Yes, so that's why hopefully this is a little bit better. I try to switch the output a little bit, so hopefully this works. Again, I apologize. I do several of these trainings, and so I'm unsure if I'm having so much difficulty with my audio today. I do think that it is because it's Friday and my audio is on vacation. That's what I'm gonna go with today.
They're at the beach.
You know, maybe that's what it is. So, okay, let's try this again. Hopefully this works. Okay, is that a little bit easier to hear me? I'm hoping
Yes,
so.
we hear you better.
Okay, perfect. Again, Yvonne, I'm unsure what's happening. So hopefully you guys can hear me. If not, please let me know and I will try to make some further adjustments. And so what I was saying is that this is the opening of our webpage. This is our ceo.lacounty.gov. If you go to divisions and units at the very top, you'll see one that's a drop-down menu for legislative affairs and intergovernmental relations. And this is, again, our one-stop shop. All things that are related to our branch can be found here. We have our federal and state legislative platforms, which is really kind of the grounding and starting off point for all of our advocacy related activities. We have our tracking list. And so if you have any questions related to our branch, please feel free to reach out to this website. We even have interactive maps. So if you're unsure of maybe like a congressional district or assembly or senate district in which the area that you're looking at, or even your current address and seeing who your members are, we even have that on built into our website. So this is a great resource. So I like to start off, and I'll go over this fairly briefly, is really the life cycle of legislation, what I call like, how does a bill become a law or from idea to law? This is probably one of the best graphics I have found so far that kind of describes the starting point all the way to when a bill is enacted or has action taken upon the bill by the governor. So it goes through an assembly and senate process, which our California state legislature is actually a bicameral legislature, meaning we have two distinct houses. We have the assembly, which is represented by 80 different assembly members, and then we also have the Senate, which is represented by 40 senators. Each assembly member roughly represents about 500,000 individuals, and each senator represents roughly about 1 million constituents within their district. And so a bill is introduced, it goes through the life cycle, it goes through committee processes, and then it's voted on between the assembly or the Senate. And then what I say, whatever happens in one house has to happen into the other. So if a bill is introduced in the assembly and it goes through the process, it also has to go through that exact same process in the Senate. I go over this more in depth for commissioners in our new commissioner training. We also host legislative 101 trainings as well. And so we go into this a little bit deeper, but wanted to just kind of show this graphic to kind of show the overall process of the life cycle of legislation on the state side. And each legislative session on the state side is a 2-year term. So for this current term is 25-26, and we are currently in the first year of the 2-year cycle. So this process is done every year with all of the bills that are introduced in the Assembly and Senate side. And I do like to highlight, I'm a big fun fact kind of person. Most people who I've gotten the pleasure of working with kind of know that about me, is that I like to kind of highlight this one little area here is that once a bill is presented to the governor, there's actually a couple ways that a bill can be enacted upon. The most common one that I think we're all familiar with is that once a bill is presented to the governor has the action to either sign or veto the piece of legislation. If the bill is signed, it then becomes a law. And it's usually, unless there's an urgency type of clause where it must be enacted or take effect immediately, it usually takes effect the January 1st of the following year. The governor does have the ability to veto a piece of legislation. That veto can actually be overridden by a 2/3 majority vote of the California state legislature. That's a 2/3 vote in both houses. And then there's actually a third way that I don't think a lot of people are familiar with, but I like to highlight, is that the bill can become a law without the governor taking any type of action. And I could break out a couple of dates, and so I'll kind of highlight that. But the governor, once a bill is presented to the governor has 30 days to enact upon a piece of legislation. If there's no action taking, meaning the governor does not either sign or veto the piece of legislation, after the 30 days, that bill does become a law. It doesn't happen as often as I think that people might expect if they are familiar with this process, but it does happen on very rare occasions. And so I wanted to break down some key dates on the state legislative process that I do think are important to highlight. These are the dates for 2025. So bill introductions, there is, and a lot of these dates are within the legislative joint calendar, meaning both the Assembly and the Senate have agreed upon dates on which some of these timelines are actually in stone. We do have a couple that are within our California state constitution, such as the budget, but I will break down some of the dates right now. So bill introduction is anytime between January and February 26th of this year, meaning that all bills are introduced by their members, and there is that deadline of February 26th. The governor's proposed budget was released on January 10th of this year. And then anytime between March through August is when we have our legislative policy hearings, meaning that that's when all the bills go through their policy committee hearings, is when votes are taken in their hearings. And so you'll kind of see that this is what we just call going through the policy committee process. The governor will be releasing the May revision to his budget on or before May 14th. What this really is that the January proposed budget are the estimations that the administration has on our fiscal outlook, basically kind of what our financial status is, and has those estimated allocations based off of that. Because May 14th, or the May revise, does come after our tax deadline has passed, we tend to have a better fiscal outlook or a better idea of how much basically money the state is going to be taking in, and then therefore the funding allocations are adjusted accordingly. You will see here right after that is the budget hearings and negotiation. This does happen between March to mid-June, as our finalized state budget must be passed by June 15th. This is a constitutional deadline that the state must pass its finalized budget on or before June 15th. Sometimes you'll also hear some things that after the budget is passed, you'll hear of like budget bill juniors or some trailer bill language. Those are just, that's not the full budget in its entirety. Sometimes if you see trailer bill language, it has to do with a particular area, and sometimes some additional negotiations are being done, but our overall budget is passed before or on June 15th. We have underneath here what's called final floor sessions, meaning that between September 2nd and September 12th, no policy or fiscal committees can be heard, which just means that all of the bills on that are introduced within the legislative session are heard on the Assembly or Senate floors, and that's where all of the open debate really does occur. So we'll see a lot of bills, if not all of the bills, taking action between these dates. And as I stated, it's 30 days after the final floor session is when the governor has until have any final actions on legislation. So this year, because it's a non-elective year, it is in October. On election years or even number years, as I just kind of reminded that way, this is a little bit earlier on. And so this year is October 12th. So now that the state side is kind of taken care of, here is a high level overview on the federal side. I always start off with the state because in my mind, once you understand the state side, the federal side is pretty similar. It's also a bicameral legislature, meaning that we have the US Senate and the US House of Representatives. In total, when most people refer to this as Congress, they're kind of referring to both. But there is that distinction between the Senate and House of Representatives. You will see here that it's very similar, as I stated, to the state side. A bill is drafted, it's introduced, it goes through committee hearings, it goes through committee markup, and then it's voted on. Similar to the state side, what's done in one house must be done in the other. So all House bills will then go to the Senate, all Senate bills go to the House. And then once a bill does pass both the House and Senate side, it's then enrolled to the executive office. It's placed on the president's desk for some type of action. So in here, there are these two very clear distinctions that the bill can be signed by the president or can be vetoed. A veto can be overridden by a 2/3 majority vote of Congress in its totality. And if that is the case, then it becomes a law. You will see on the Senate side that there is this one thing that is kind of the broken out box from the floor debate. It's called a filibuster. This most recently was done by Senator Booker. And so this is really done to maybe highlight the importance of a topic or to delay a vote. And this is only done on the Senate. This is one of the Senate privileges. I highly recommend, if you are a policy person like me, or just have a ton of free time, or if you listen to audiobooks or podcasts in the car, I sometimes listen to filibusters because I think I just can't get enough. So it is very interesting to hear. The last time, so recently, Senator Booker did break the longest record, and prior to that was done in 1965 with the Civil Rights Act. And basically what it's done is that a senator is unable to leave the floor for any period or take a break in any speaking time. And so they literally just talk for hours. It's a feat of marvel, in my opinion. It's what I want to consider kind of like a policy triathlon almost, because it does take a lot of dedication to do. So if you ever just want to throw information on the background, I highly suggest listening in. There's been several that have been done. There's actually a great example of this in a couple movies, but I would say that Senator Booker's most recent filibuster is something to kind of listen in on or go back and watch if you ever have 12 hours of free time. So once the bill is enacted upon, as I stated, it can either be signed or vetoed by the president, and then it does become the law. I will highlight some key dates here, but one distinction that I do like to make is that unlike the state side, a state has the joint legislative calendar where we do have agreed upon timelines and deadlines for legislation to pass. The Congress doesn't. They have a calendar which has some anticipated dates. However, once a bill is introduced, there is no deadlines or timeframes in which the bill must go through the entire legislative cycle, which is why you'll see a lot of legislation getting moved on the state side rather than on the federal side. So I do like to make that distinction. But as I stated, here's some key dates on the federal legislative process that I always like to highlight. So each congressional session is actually 2 years as well. So we're in the first year of the 119th congressional session, which actually began on January 3rd. The President's State of the Union is slated for March 4th currently. Did occur. And so these dates are usually anticipated. The biggest thing is the President's federal fiscal year 2026. Usually it's done in late March. This year we're hearing it might be in May. So again, all of these dates are anticipated, could happen. We hope happens around these timeframes. We do have appropriation committee markups between April and May. Appropriations, it does differ on the state and the federal side. So on the federal side, the appropriations bills are the 12 bills that fund the federal government, compared to on the state side, where the appropriations committee is a fiscal committee that just hears bills that have any type of fiscal or state appropriation. So I do also like to make that distinction. On average, and I say this on average because the past couple of years we've operated under what's called the continuing resolution, and I go into that in a further slide. is the floor consideration of appropriations usually does occur in July with the upcoming federal fiscal year beginning October 1st. This is our anticipated. We are sending all good and positive vibes into the universe that this does occur. But as I stated, the past couple of years, we've been operating under continuing resolution. So these dates have been a little bit arbitrary. And then we have congressional fall break between October and November. There's a lot of information, a lot of dates being thrown out, the process, a lot of graphs. But I wanted to just kind of lay out the groundwork for a lot of this because when we look at prioritizing our advocacy efforts, we look at these in what I call like the 4 different categories. So one is the Board of Supervisors priorities that are clearly outlined and you can see them currently on the CEO's website. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's 8 of them currently. And so we really do prioritize our advocacy efforts on the Board of Supervisors priorities. We also work our departments, all of our county departments on their priorities and needs. We also look at the state legislative and congressional priorities. What are our delegation members talking at the state and the federal levels? What are some key ideas that they're looking at and that they're prioritizing? And then obviously our emerging bill and budget issues. You know, we had our devastating wildfires at the beginning of this year. So although we had the first 3 categories kind of outlined by the end of last year, with the wildfires, you know, that does take precedence. And so we always are being nimble in our advocacy efforts to advance the county's priorities in its totality as we do operate under one county voice. So looking at these priorities, here's some great resources if you just want to look at some legislation or kind of see where things are at in the process. This is California legislative information. This is a public-facing website. This is my go-to, honestly, in addition to some other resources that I do highlight. So if you're ever just curious where a bill is at in the process, as you're looking at legislation for the commission, this is a great starting point. You can enter the bill number. You can also enter keywords. And there's information on current existing California law. You can also look at particular code sections. And when you do look up a piece of legislation, this pops up. You do see here, I just entered in 1, and it'll show all of the pieces of legislation that have 1 in the number. And so you have SB1 here. This is dated from 2021, just because it's a really good outline of what the bills do look like. You have the text, you have votes, you have the history of the bill. You also have bill analysis here. This bill analysis is done by the committee. And then you also have any compared versions, what the today's law would look like if amended. And then on the second picture right here, you would have, if a bill is amended, you see the blue is what would be amended and any red that would be crossed out. You also have down here, if the vote is a 2/3 or if it's a simple majority. You have if it's an appropriation or fiscal committee, or if it creates a new local program as well. So again, this is a great resource. I highly recommend it to everybody. And because there's another great resource here is congress.gov. Sounds simple, but it's a wonderful website that has amazing resources for types of federal legislation. Once you hit congress.gov, you will have here at the very top what some of the most reviewed bills are that are currently being talked about or that a lot of people are looking at. You also have some current legislative activities if Congress is in session, what they're going to be talking about, upcoming committee hearings, also too what committee reports are. And then once you do look up a piece of legislation here at the top, you can also look up like the bill numbers, or you can look up a certain keyword. This is what pops up. So you have the bill title, you have what's called the sponsor of the bill, which is basically the bill author. You have where it's at. And then one thing I do like here is that it has a tracker bar. So if it's introduced, where it's at in the process, you have text, titles, any type of amendments, all the list of co-sponsors. If you have questions on federal legislation, again, congress.gov is a public-facing website. It is amazing. And I think whoever runs it does a fabulous job because it's pretty accurate on what just recently occurred, and they update it consistently. Now, some federal legislative terms that I think are helpful to understand as you're looking at legislation and as you're looking at your any type of advocacy, or as you're just kind of tracking legislation on the federal and state side. So here's a list of federal terms. The ones I do want to highlight here are the continuing resolution. It's really just legislation that keeps the federal government funded on a somewhat of a temporary basis in lieu of the federal appropriations being passed. And so this is something that's of key interest since, as I stated, the past couple years, we've been operating under continuing resolution. The temporary basis basically means is that it's the federal government is being funded at the previous approved fiscal year terms. So I think that that's also important to understand. And then on the state side, we do have a whole list of legislative terms that I do find helpful. The big difference is the assembly bills. Anytime you see an assembly bill or an AB followed by a number, that means that the bill was introduced by an assembly member. Same with an assembly constitutional amendment or assembly resolutions. And then Senate bills are SBs followed by a number. And that's the same for Senate constitutional amendment or Senate resolutions, meaning that that piece of legislation was introduced by a member of the Senate only. So again, lots of information, lots of terms being thrown out. But what you guys are probably most interested on, what's the legislative advocacy? What are the ways that your commission and our branch can work together to advance the goals and the priorities of the county, the Board of Supervisors? I know that's really what you guys are here to listen to me talk about. So wanted to start off that we do have our branch is specifically authorized to do all advocacy on behalf of the county. Which means that department staff, commissioners, commission staff, and even advisory bodies, they're not authorized to advocate on legislation or budget proposals on behalf of the county. Leave it to us. That's what I'm here for. However, we do look at the commissions and department staff to serve as subject matter experts. Now, you may be saying, well, hey, if although I'm appointed by the board and they're looking at us to advise them, why can't we do advocacy? We see individual Board of Supervisors take particular positions on legislation. So because, for example, the Board of Supervisors, the sheriff, district attorney, and the assessor are all independently elected individuals, they can take advocacy positions that may be in absence or contrary to a county advocacy position. So you may see a piece of legislation that the county has not taken an official position on, but say, for an example, the assessor has. That's because they're independently elected and can do so. However, I just wanted to stress again that in the role as commissioners and commission staff, it's just not authorized by board policy to advocate on legislation or budget proposals on behalf of the county. That's really what we are here for. And this does include going before a legislative body and in your role as a commissioner to say, I, commissioner, please enter name here as part of enter name of commission here, are in favor or going to be supporting something. Even that is not allowed. Now, if you are, say, the mayor or a local independently elected city council member and want to advocate on something, that is your right to do so. However, anything related to the county or your role as a commissioner cannot be mentioned. Again, that's what we're here for. So we actually have designated staff in our Sacramento and in Washington, D.C. office that represent the county's positions on bill and budget proposals. We have an extensive staff in LA, our LA team, both in our government relations and our legislative policy development team that work specifically with departments and commissions on advocacy recommendations and to look at bills to see what the county impact is. And this is really to have one county voice. It is really looking at having a unified county voice, because when we are unified is when our voice is the strongest. So we really do like to talk about that. Now, when we're talking about commission advocacy recommendations to the board, there are several steps. So before any type of legislation can be put on your agenda, please contact our office because we do an in-depth analysis on the bill to see, does it impact maybe other departments? You know, what is the fiscal or operational impacts that could be to the county? And so there are designated analysts that are actually listed on our website that work with our individual departments and commissions to review legislation, and it's in particular issue areas as well. So if there is something that your commission would like to take or is going to be recommending a position on, you would need to contact our policy analyst first before it can be put on the agenda. And the policy analyst will advise if the county has existing advocacy positions or if we're already working on something like that, specifically around the bill and the budget. If it is of interest to the commission, please reach out to our office. That is what we are here for. We are here not only as the lead advocacy arm of the county, but also too, we want to be a resource to help understand what potential impacts could be on the county for any bill and budget proposals. We do work extensively with our budget team on all budget proposals. Again, to have one county voice, because we are of the position that a unified county is a strong county. And so if for some reason we do not have a current advocacy position on a proposal, you can make a recommendation to support or oppose legislation or budget proposals, but you would have to contact our office first because you would have to, before it can be voted on by your commission, we would have to have that analysis done. And really, because we have our federal and state legislative platforms that we work, I lead that effort. And so it is a very thorough and thoughtful process when we have our legislative federal and state platforms, which are on our website and you can see. And so we want to make sure it's consistent with existing board policy as those are approved and adopted by the board. If your recommendation, after you've worked with us, if your recommendation is approved, you would just transmit that to our office, and then we work with the board to take the appropriate advocacy positions and work with the board to advance those recommendations. I know that's a lot of information. I tried to be as quick as possible, so I apologize if I went a little bit too in depth, but happy to take any questions. And again, we do a further analysis or go into a further training with our new commissioner training, and then our branch consistently hosts for county individuals legislative 101 trainings. And if I'm not mistaken, all of those resources are on our website. So I'm happy to take any questions, but first I just want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time and your interest in legislative advocacy and for having me come and present to your commission. The work that you do is of vital importance to advancing the needs of all of the individuals within LA County. So first I want to say thank you for taking your role as a commissioner and doing the work, because it's hard, but it's meaningful. And so I wanted to say thank you. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Yes, Amanda, we're grateful for you as well, being able to inform us and share all this insightful information of how the LGBTQ Commission can engage more in legislative affairs and the budget process. So we would like to open it up. Are there any questions that folks have for Amanda? Her expertise? Yes.
Commissioner Martinez, hi Amanda, I identify as he, him, his. Just clarification, as a commission, and if we vote, we could give recommendations on any bills going to the state and federal, correct?
Yeah, so you can take a recommendation to say like support or oppose a piece of federal or state legislation or even budget. We would just ask that all of those efforts before it's placed on the agenda for a formal recommendation to be coordinated with our office so we can work with the appropriate either departments or other county staff to do that in-depth analysis. And we really look at not only what does the bill do, but what's the actual impact to the county. And this is fiscal and operational impact.
And then one final question. So regarding the commission also give recommendation how the county could spend or allocate funds.
Are you talking about, say, just for my own clarification purposes, is say that the county receives some sort of funding either from the state or the federal side, you're looking at maybe recommendations on how the county allocates those funds?
Regarding county funds, and a commission, let's say without like measuring, what type of measure? Yeah, if there's any funds that, county funds, can the commission give recommendation how those funds should be spent?
If I'm in full transparency, that's a little bit outside of my purview because that's not something that we do. We mainly look at the federal and state legislative and budgetary processes. So any type of county allocation of funds would have to be something that I would recommend work with the executive office on to see, because that's not something that really our office handles. I apologize. We like to say we provide the information, but specifically when it comes to funding, that is something that we leave to, as I stated, I like to think that I know a lot about a lot of things, but I am not the smartest person in any room most of the time, but I know a bunch of smart people. And so I like to work with our CEO budget specifically when it comes to that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Gracias. Commissioner Arntzen.
Commissioner Arntzen, him. Stepping back to Commissioner Martinez's first part of that question, is there any stage that a commissioner individually can speak publicly about a recommendation that's fully agreed upon by the full commission and has gone through your analysis?
So are you speaking about like once it goes through the analysis and the commission takes a recommendation, you yourselves as an individual commissioner can do independent advocacy? Is that the question? Just so for my understanding. No. So what you can do is you work within our office, or not within our, you work with our office, I should say, and we then take that recommendation upon the board. And so because it's an advisory body, you're advising us on what to do. Now you yourselves, and I actually do this for my assembly and senators, if there is a piece of legislation that I, as an individual outside of any type of role within the county or a commission, you yourself feel passionate about something, you have, and it is part of your right to advocate as a constituent on a particular piece of legislation or budget. However, I do make a very clear distinction that you would need to and have to separate yourself and cannot mention your role as a commission or as part of a commission or as a commissioner in any of those type of statements. So even going before like the board, I always say, if it's gray, like if it's a gray area, please ask. We are here as a resource, but no, that's not something that is authorized by board policy.
Thank you, Amanda. And I am an elected official, so I cannot refer to my place on this commission, correct?
No, so you as an independently elected individual, so say you are the mayor, so you're the mayor of a city. You yourself as the mayor could do independent advocacy, but it would have to be very clear that you're not doing so in your role as part of the commission or as a commissioner or as an appointee to a commission on behalf of the county.
Understood. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Questions? Thanks for clarifying, Amanda. Commissioner Whittington.
Thank you. Good morning. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. Yolanda Whittington. Just a question. Will we be able to get a copy of the handouts, the presentation?
Yes.
Executive Director Menon. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Executive Director Menon, this document is available publicly on the Chief Executive Office website. Yes. Chief Executive Office, Legislative Affairs and Intergovernmental Relations Branch website.
I know it's a mouthful, which is what I would like to say. We're in the CEO layer.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like it makes it a little bit easier because it is a little bit of it's a full mouth words.
Any questions over here?
I have a question. Vice Chair Rogers, she, her, hers. How far in advance does this commission need to speak with you all to like coordinate any kind of statements, recommendations? Because I saw that list of like the timeline and stuff, and I feel like we're kind of right in the middle of it all. You know, things come, you know, sideways sometimes too, so we have to like mobilize quickly too. How far in advance do we need to contact you all, have meetings, committees, all those kinds of things?
No, that's actually a great question. Because the state side does have a set calendar, things tend to move through the process fairly quickly. We do recommend at least one full commission meeting ahead of time. So say, for example, you wanted to do something in June, I would recommend that you actually contact us now. That way we can make sure that we are providing the resources and time to analyze the legislation because, and I say this, there's 5,000 bills that get introduced between the state and federal side. And our office, it seems impossible, but we have a very strong, small but mighty team where we look at every piece of legislation that is introduced to see what the impacts are. So there could be times where we're already working on a piece of legislation that your commission is interested in. And anytime any of those bills get amendment, we look at those amendments. So we are constantly reviewing pieces of legislation. So I would say at least one full commission meeting ahead of time would be ideal. I know that's not always possible, but the more lead time you can give us, the better. Because we want to make sure that we do a thoughtful analysis and provide you with the most accurate information that we're able to.
And to add on top of that, then, would it be possible to like have certain bills that you would be interested in, like set aside or like a list of those that we could like look at, and if any of these pop up, you know, take our interest, you know, or like these are the ones that we really want to concentrate on. Is it possible to get a list of that from you all to like sent to us or something like that too before we have the meeting?
Yeah, so one thing that I do recommend is actually on our website, we have something called our legislative tracking system. It's called what we call our master bill list. So every bill that we're tracking, and mind you, just because we may not have an official county position on something that says like a support or oppose, usually if it's on our list, we're watching it, meaning that we are actively engaged in reviewing the legislation where it goes throughout the process. And so we are watching almost every single piece of legislation. We have a whole team that manages our tracking system as well. So if there is a piece of legislation that you're hearing about or are interested in, please look at that tracking system to see if it's there. And if not, let us know. And we can always make sure that we at least flag it within our system to make sure that it's within our tracking system that we are watching it. Sometimes I can say because of the amounts of bills and the changes and the amendments, there might be some times where it's like, hey, it's getting added to our list by the end of the week, but we are constantly updating it. So please feel free to use that website to see if we're even tracking something first. And you can actually, on our tracking system, you can even see and break it down by issue area, or if there's a particular bill in general, you can research it or you can search that way. But say, for example, there's like a health related bill. You want to see all of the health bills that our team is tracking. You can do that. You can actually pull that, what I call pull the report from our tracking system to look it up too. So it's all available on our website. Of course. Thank you so much for the question.
To clarify in terms of process, so as there is one county voice, we also have one commission voice, and we want to ensure that all of this discussions do go through the entire commission. So being able to include them in the agenda and all of those pieces, ensuring that Sunita is included in those conversations as you reach out so that we have all of this coordinated to be able to move forward collectively as a commission. Any other questions for Amanda?
I see 2 hands raised, but I don't know if that's just me. So I just wanted to, I'm not that techie sometimes.
Thank you for that, Amanda. Executive Director Menon, she or they pronouns. We are going to do public comment at the end of this item, the way that we move forward. As a reminder, Amanda, we do not respond to public comment. We just allow the public to make comments on each item.
Thank you. Yeah, some days I feel like I'm very techie, and some days I think turning my phone on is a struggle. So I apologize.
Any other questions, thoughts, reflections before we move to public comment? Before we move on to discussions around the attached documents? Okay, once again, thank you so much, Amanda, for your expertise. It's beautiful to see how much you love this work, your commitment and dedication, and we're excited to work with you on legislative and budget matters.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
So now we'll be moving forward. Second Vice Chair Russell Slavin will discuss the attached document.
Thank you, Second Vice Chair Russell Slavin. I use she, her, they, them pronouns. As we all know, right, there is a record number of bills aimed at taking away the rights of LGBTQ plus people, especially TGI plus people, both at state, local, and federal levels. Under this ordinance, our ordinance as a commission, we have three main duties: advise, recommend, and engage. We advise and recommend, and based on conversations with local LGBTQ plus and trans organizations, we would like to send a document to all 5 supervisors encompassing the legislation that we view as critical to the safety, security, and well-being of communities, LGBTQ plus and TGI plus here in LA County. Within the ordinance, it also states we should be providing recommendations on policy and legislation. To reiterate what Amanda said, our role is to identify bills and send those to the CEO Laird's office to review the identified bills and budget proposals, analyze the impact county, and providing recommendations to board supervisors about how we move forward. Importantly, commissions like county departments cannot individually speak on behalf of the county and support or opposing bills. Individual commissioners and their personal capacity can do so, but as a commission, this does not fall under our purview. That context, we have identified the following California state budget priorities and state bill proposals that directly impact the LGBTQ plus community here in the county. And we're interested in finding out from this group here if you are all in agreement, if you have questions or have additional thoughts on the budget request and bills to send to the CEO Lars for analysis. Given their timeline, we hope to have their recommendations by the May or June commission meeting. And before I go through that, just to also, I think, reiterate, timing wise, we didn't have very long to turn this around. So we did our best. We reviewed multiple sort of packages of potential proposed LGBTQ plus legislation, as well as budget proposals at the state level, knowing that the state deadline right now is particularly time sensitive. And that there are other LGBTQ plus pieces of legislation. I mean, there is actually a significant number, right? But these seemed particularly relevant given the very targeted attacks, both from a budget and legislative perspective. So with that, I'm just going to go over a few of these and then we'll open it up for questions. So I'm going to start with budget priority recommendations. Just personally speaking, that for me, a budget is a reflection of values, and that one thing we know is that LGBTQ plus and TGI plus organizations need access to funding, and that this is a critical place, particularly given the looming and already existing cuts we're seeing, that really trying to uplift that need to continue to provide comprehensive social services. So the first one is actually in direct response to the federal attacks. This is the Contingency Fund for Critical Health Services. This is a 1-year, $100 million fund to support essential healthcare services that are barred or end up being barred by the federal government for areas of reproductive health, abortion care, and gender affirming care. Just last week, the CMS put out a new guideline saying that trying once again to basically say Medicaid cannot be used for gender affirming care. This is the type of so we are right now at the state level trying to figure out what is California's response to these attacks, and this is that effort. Second, the TGI Wellness Fund. This is a $15 million over 2 years to provide direct support and wellness programs for transgender, gender nonconforming, and intersex individuals who face systemic barriers to healthcare and economic stability. This has been run and been successfully funded a few times, and this is continuation. Some of our allies who attend these meetings, including Trans Latina Coalition, is a major proponent of this effort. The next one is the LGBTQ plus Health Equity Initiative. This is 15 million over 3 years to advance health equity initiatives for LGBTQ plus communities. This was really a public health fund that was established to support LGBTQ plus women and trans and non-binary folks in public health funding. That funding is coming to an end, so this is a continuation of that effort to hopefully keep those programs going. The fourth area is Victims of Crime Act backfill federally. There's been a significant reduction in funds to the VOCA, as it's kind of shorthand known. This is 176 million a year. We've been looking at more than 200 million cut federally for the next 5 years to mitigate the shortfall, ensuring continued support for victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, child abuse, and other violent crimes. I will say this funding has been particularly imperative across the state for victims of hate crimes, victims of LGBTQ, victims of hate crimes, domestic violence, and other services. So moving on to the bills, and this is where there's probably significantly more options, but these were the ones we were able to kind of quickly pull together. And again, all fit into the very explicit tax we are facing. This includes SB 418 by Senator Menjivar. It expands protections in healthcare by expanding the definition of sex. I think what's important here is this really adds protections around the basis of gender identity, gender expression, sexual orientation, and pregnancy. Very much looking at the direct federal tax and sort of brings over what exists in ACA into California law and tries to ensure that whatever happens federally, we'll still have protections in the state. AB 908, Assemblymember Salach, I don't know how to pronounce that name, but add LGBTQ plus student education and well-being in each school board's local control and accountability plan. So this would make it one of the priority areas for each local accountability plan to have this as an area that they need to address as part of their process. And given the attacks we're seeing at school boards, this feels particularly relevant. AB 1084, 84, Assemblymember Zabor and Senator Wiener. This is to ease burdensome requirements for name and gender change markers, making the process easier for people to update their identity documents to reflect their name and gender. And then SB 497, Senator Wiener, strengthens privacy protections for those coming to California seeking gender affirming care by prohibiting a provider or insurance plan from sharing that information. It also puts new subpoena requirements, basically warrant requirements, before releasing information, just given the now criminal threats we're facing from other states around providing access to gender affirming care, that this is helping really strengthen California law in these areas. So with that, I will turn it back to the chair for discussion.
Wow. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for leading this effort, for being able to have you here and have your expertise turn this around at a such expedited time frame, because you are already in the middle of these conversations, leading these conversations and these national and statewide efforts, and are also within community and are able to provide all your expertise to be able to guide our collective direction for the commission in this way. So grateful for you, Second Vice Chair Russell Slavin. And we'll open it up for questions, comments, reflections around these budget and legislative recommendations. And so again, to clarify, these are the components that would move to the CEO Layer's office for analysis, so that we can eventually move to a place where we have recommendations to the Board of Supervisors to be able to provide at the statewide level. So all a part of the process. First, being able to discuss amongst ourselves. What do you all think? Yes, Commissioner Whittington.
Thank you. Yolanda Whittington, pronouns she, her, and hers. I have a question, Slavin. For the budget priority recommendations, we currently getting this amount of funding from the federal budget, or we are not getting this funding? I'm trying to figure out if we're asking for this funding
Yeah.
in anticipation of loss of funding from the federal.
So for the first one, it's anticipation of loss of funding because we anticipate that we are going to lose access to gender affirming care through Medicaid services. And then, and already there was a similar effort last year around abortion. And this is being done just to say the center is a proponent, as is Equality California, Planned Parenthood, and others. So there was a similar effort last year. So this is trying to mirror that effort, expand, given the tax we see or already in effect, like really close to being implemented. And so that's the case for that one. The next two are a specific state general fund ask for TGI and LGBTQ plus communities seeking to provide kind of public health infrastructure funding. And are really in the larger scheme, small but essential ask to, again, start getting money into the social services that historically have been excluded from. And the fourth one is, has to do, last year, we really saw the VOCA cuts start to take effect. This ranges anywhere from an across the board 46 to 60+% cut in funding for victim services. This isn't because the federal government, what has happened is that the funds that go into the federal government pot of money are actually usually funded by white collar crimes, and they've stopped, that fund has just basically been drained. And so now it's really been facing these shortfalls. So we have started advocating at the state level. This, we could go into just the lack of general funds for these services, but this is really dealing with explicit cuts that are like very much real and have already started to take effect.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Vasquez.
Commissioner Vasquez, pronouns he, him. I think one, appreciate the diversity in all of it. It feels like you touched almost in every corner, everything from transgender to youth. I think sometimes when I think about just like youth specific and kids right now at school campuses are very scared. They're kind of pulling back to protect their jobs. And so I think I really love that we taking them into account. And as we represent board as a whole, like it's just diverse. And I really felt that across the board. And another big thing is the gender marker name changes like that. It's just just very basic things that folks need. And once we get more information, how do we like forward champion it forward? So thank you for the diversity. And honestly, it's like the youth advocate on the space. Like I think that's such an important factor for kids. People are not even going to school anymore.
Commissioner Martin.
Hi, Commissioner Martin. She, her, Ella. Again, these are great recommendations. They're amazing. You did a great job. Is there any way we could add anything about immigration or immigrants in this?
I think we would probably have to do it at a next round, just because we really had like 24 hours turnaround. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's so much that's not included, and I absolutely agree. And one thing I'll just also say is we think we can use this to start a process where we have a much more thorough analysis next year, a much more thoughtful, thorough analysis next year that will allow us to.
Again, great job.
Yes. Commissioner Lilia.
Commissioner Lally at she, her pronouns. Thank you so much for this work. I can't believe this was done on that kind of turnaround. This is kind of piggybacking on Commissioner Martin's question. The critical health services, I'd love to hear a little bit more, just broadly what those would be. And one thing I'm specifically thinking about is SUD and HIV for undocumented and refugee and immigrant populations.
Executive Director Menon, she, they pronouns. Just want to make sure that when we're using acronyms, we're spelling them out or saying them out upon first use. They might be normal for us, but not for other folks. So if you wouldn't mind, SUD?
Substance use disorder, which thank you for that. And also I specifically always avoid, because I hate the D part of SUD, but there we are.
Yeah, so you were asking, sorry,
Broadly about the 100 million in critical health services.
yeah. The reason I'm like, I'd have to go look, and I actually am not sure it's as defined, because a lot of times with the budget asks, they are more general, pockets. I think what would be interesting is, how do I say that? Because this would be about like, if that became barred by Medicaid as opposed to, and I want to be also honest that like, we know that even 100 million isn't even going to fully cover, it's a pretty small pocket for health. I know it sounds like a lot of money, but for health funding is not necessarily a lot of money. So I can't answer the specifics of that question. But I think all of us probably are very aware, right? The amount when we look at the $880 billion potential cut to Medicaid, that would devastate healthcare. This is much more of about a specific things have been cut because of identity or because of like, so I think that would be, that's a whole other fight.
Any other thoughts, comments, reflections about these budget or legislative pieces? We have a motion to send these identified California state and budget priority bills forward to the CEO Lair's office for review. And Commissioner Arnson and seconded by Vice Chair Rogers. Gracias, everyone. With that, we'll move to public comment.
As a reminder, each member of the public will be allotted 2 minutes to address the commission on item number 6. Public comment must be related to the item number 6. We have We have 3 virtual public comment, and we have 2 in person. We will begin with in person. We have Joe Green.
Good morning, everyone. Joe Green, he, him, his, co-chair of the LA County Commission on HIV. I think most of you know that we have a public policy committee that we do submit our recommendations to LAIR. And I was just looking at all of our Assembly bills and Senate bills. We don't have any of these on our policy docket, so I will make sure to share that. I'm not sure if Katia Nelson is online, our public policy co-chair. But on March 3rd, we did approve our docket and submit it to LAIR. Normally, everything that we submit, they're on board with us. So I was surprised that we didn't have any of these Assembly bills or Senate bills on our docket. But I will make sure that we do address this. Our next meeting is June 2nd. And that was it. I just wanted to share that we do have a public policy committee and we're on the same page.
Yes.
Gigi Navarro.
Everyone, buenos días. Gigi Navarro, any pronoun is fine. I just wanted to say thank you for putting this together. I know that you mentioned that it was rushed, so I understand why not everything was included into this. I will advocate for, as Commissioner Martin mentioned, in the future, including legislation for immigrants, as well as legislation for housing, which is one of the top priorities If you see a lot of surveys, not only in the city but county, that is one of the top priorities for a lot of Angelinos, including not only TGI youth, which tends to go through housing insecurity at higher rates than LGBT communities. So just want to put that on the radar, but I am in full support of the entire legislation packet that you have, and as a member also of the Transgender Caucus for the Commission on HIV, I urge you as well to take a look into what was mentioned. So thank you.
We next have Audit LA. Your hand is raised and you are unmuted.
Hi, good morning. Audit LA, she, her, hers. I want to talk about Hollywood Aja. Okay, she's somebody who was protesting Scientology for their human rights abuses. And Scientology had a thing called fair game policy where you destroy your enemies
Audit LA,
basically.
can you please, refrain? There'll be a comment right now.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I'm making a comment about, because I wanted to set it up. This is about legislation. I would like to see legislation to help protect the LGBTQ plus community, because what they did was they got a hold of her, allegedly got hold of her medical records, and then sent it to her boyfriend's family to destroy her, to destroy them. And thankfully, the family didn't care. They're allies. But what if this had happened to a trans person, a trans couple that, you know, where the family didn't know or would be very upset? It could have called, that could lead to suicide. It could have led to any kind of, you know, family discommunication, anything, separation, whatever. And so there needs to be some kind of laws that are shored up to protect people from, you know, when they are being attacked like that. You know, I guess it's called doxing, you know, and it's not fair. There's already a higher level of suicide rate amongst trans, which, and then she was strong, thankfully, but it did stop her from, she stopped protesting, and which is sad. But she had no right, they had no right to out her, you know, her records, whatever she wants to, you know, and she's very open about everything, you know, and that's her choice. But what if there's somebody who's not very open about it? That it's their private business. Nobody has the right to do that to another person. And so you know, I
See that time has expired. The next person will be Henry Marini.
Yes.
Hi, good morning. Henry Marini, he, him, his pronouns. And I am here today to talk about some legislative concerns I have. So, to lay the background, I'm a reporter. I've been covering activities of the county police departments as well as local LAPD and the city level. And one of the issues I want to address before the board on legislative matters is an issue I see of active defunding for what's called medical evaluation units, MEU units across the board, both at the city, county level. A personal story just to illustrate the backdrop. A friend of mine recently had a 5150 incident. The LAPD, rather than doing their due diligence and supposed to send a MEU unit, which had been slashed from 25 in the past 3 years now down to maybe about 15. It's an absolute disgrace. There was also another incident of a trans person being killed, Linda Moran, who was supposed to receive an MEU unit, did not. And it's deliberate slashing at the county and city level of funds that are supposed to go towards such services. Now, that's really just barely scratching the surface. You know, there's an active, deliberate action at the city and county level, it seems, to actively go and not provide support to vulnerable populations. I'll give another example. June 17th, 2024, there was a trans woman actually attacked on Elmore and Hubbard Way. It was totally unprovoked. They were just sitting on the sidewalk doing absolutely nothing of consequence when a man came up behind them and attacked them. That person was not prosecuted, and that victim was also Aja, who was going and protesting Scientology. And Scientology has a very long track record of deliberately attacking and hating anybody that identifies in the LGBT community. And Aja was stalked and attacked, violently so. And I urge this community to take action on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Your time has expired.
Yes, yes.
Next, we have Byron. We noticed that you had a comment in the chat. We're unable to see it now, but you are unmuted now if you might like to make a public comment.
Ed, please.
Thank you, Amanda, for sticking around for this part of the public comment. It's always great to meet different members of the CEO team. So we'll be reaching out to you specifically to figure out how the May revised overlaps with the county's unmet needs and supplemental budget process. Regarding the two TGI Wellness Fund, beyond the Tranatina Coalition, it is also being led through a coalition of TGI-led organizations across the state, the California TGI Health Alliance, as well as the advocacy efforts from Vice Chair Rogers, who supported the initial creation of that fund. That it to Commissioner Whittington's point, the original TGI fund was 13 million set aside in 2020. So 5 years later, now that the funds have been depleted, there's actually an increased investment at the state level by the 15 million over a 2-year period. So we definitely want to look into the California CDPH's 2 TGI units and how that can inform the county's TGI Wellness and Equity Initiative, which hasn't been fully funded currently at the county's budget process. Lastly, thank you, Tara, for working on this list. We know it's too late for letters of support or any actionable on this matters, but thank you for including it to the CEO and layer. In addition to 1487, there's like an extensive list of other bills that TLC supports, so I can forward those to you for future consideration. And beyond yourself, we would love to know who are the policy and legislative commissioners assigned to this, so that we can work with them on some of the anti-carceral, anti-police, and non-armed responsive teams that different community members continue to ask for. Thank you, everyone.
Yes.
Thank you. We have no further public comment.
So much, everyone, for your comments. We will now move into a vote. Everyone in favor of approving the identified California state budget priorities and priority bills, the CEO Lair, say aye.
Aye.
Objections? As a reminder, we have Commissioner Fisher on live. Gracias. Any abstentions? Abstentions? Perfect. Hearing none. With 12 ayes, the motion passes. Gracias, everyone.
The only one excited?
Congratulations, everyone, for our first legislative and budget efforts. Let's take a break. It is about to be 11. Let's come back at 11.
An actual logo.
Hey,
Are we supposed to?
Service stuff.
I was just gonna mention.
It's just about.
I don't know.
Cheryl
sent it to.
Yes, yes, I will happily do that.
Yeah, I mean.
I just want to make sure.
I don't know.
Vice Chair Russell
They didn't
Slavin
reach out to me to like.
Set of
Ooh.
Ooh. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. It is 11:10 and we are resuming our April LGBTQ Commission meeting. Annie, can you support us with roll call?
Arnson,
Present.
Commissioner Fisher,
He's on there.
Present.
Commissioner Juan Balbuena, present. Commissioner Elliott,
Present.
Commissioner Martinez,
Present.
Commissioner Martin,
Present.
Commissioner Soria, Commissioner Vasquez,
Present.
Whittington,
Present.
and Vice Chair Russell Slavin,
Here.
Vice Chair Rogers,
Present.
Chair Placencia. Have a quorum.
Gracias, Ms. Patian. With 12 commissioners present, we have a quorum. We will be moving into item number 7, report back from the ad hoc subcommittee for the LA County You Belong Writers Festival. Of course, we do. As a reminder, this ad hoc subcommittee is working with the LA County Library Department on the October 2025 You Belong Writers Festival. And the members of this ad hoc subcommittee are Commissioner Fisher, Commissioner Vasquez, Commissioner Rogers. Commissioner Fisher is the chair of this ad hoc subcommittee, so we will turn it to Commissioner Fisher to lead this update. Commissioner.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. So I have some notes, so I didn't leave anything out. So we've been meeting on a regular basis with members from the LA County Library Department.
Commissioner Fisher, can you speak a little bit louder?
Oh, sure. Okay,
Here.
sure. LA County Library Department and the One Institute and the organization of the day-long festival that's going to take place the weekend of October 5th, taking place at the West Hollywood Public Library. It's a day-long festival. It'll include speakers and presenters discussing different aspects of writing, publishing, and literature, including poetry, how to get published, writing for magazines, journals, zine writing, sessions for teens and young adults. Can you hear me well enough? Okay.
A little louder if you can.
Okay.
Theater
Yelling.
voice.
It's going to be a family-friendly event, and we're encouraging a love of reading and writing. So as the ad hoc subcommittee, we work with the library team to compile a list of possible keynote speakers and panelists and provide connections, if possible, to those individuals. We're going to be working with the libraries on the type of panels that might be presented. Importantly, if any commissioners have any connections to LBGTQ+ and BIPOC writers who might be interested in hosting a panel or discussion, please let us know as we're working to organize that right now. Please, if you have any ideas, please mention it to me or Commissioners Vasquez or Rogers. We're really open to ideas here. With that, I will turn it back to Chair Placencia. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Chair Fisher, for that update. Do we have any comments, questions, reflections from the commission?
Executive Director Menon, she or they pronouns. The library department is coming up with the times and the logistics. We're supporting right now with coming up with the panelists, or sorry, the ad hoc subcommittee is supporting with coming up with the panelists. And so hopefully we'll have more information for you in the upcoming meeting in May.
Beautiful. So the ask is, Commissioner Martin.
Yeah, Commissioner Martin, pronoun she, her, Ella. Has the date been set yet?
Yes, it's October 5th. We invite you all to put it in your calendar. It's a festive event, a great opportunity to be able to celebrate together. The ask is to be able to make recommendations of writers who may be interested in the panel discussion. This is a great opportunity to elevate artists and folks within vast communities. And we encourage you to share those with the subcommittee. We look forward to seeing you all there. We'll turn now to public comment.
Reminder, each member of the public will be allotted 2 minutes to address commission on item number 7. Public comment must be related to item number 7. I have 1 in-person and 2 virtual public comment, starting with in-person, Chichi Navarro.
He's kicking me that extra that time. Everyone, Chichi Navarro, any pronoun. This is more of a question, but I'll ask it anyway, and then I can follow up. Is whether the event would also include maybe playwriters, if that, or are we looking for folks who are just doing books? If so, I can reach out to the ad hoc to provide some writers of the BIPOC experience. So I'll make sure to reach out to the subcommittee. Thank you.
Yes.
Moving on to virtual public comment, we have Audit LA. You are unmuted.
Yes, hi again. I want to bring attention to the library book of, well, I don't know if it's actually in the library, but I'm concerned about it being in the library. It's called Dianetics, because in book 3, chapter 27, L. Ron Hubbard says very horrible things about the LGBTQ plus community. I don't even want to repeat it. It's disgusting and disturbing. And the problem
This is Executive Director Menon. Thank you so much for that comment. It's not directly related to this item, so we're going to move to the next public comment.
Okay, I thought it was about library books. Okay.
Yes.
We've moved, next virtual comment we have is Henry Marini. Unmuted.
Yes, hi, good morning, Henry Marini, he, him, his. I just want to point your attention to 2 writers I actually think would be good additions to this event, either as panelists or maybe they have an independent booth. So I'm not entirely sure how you would do it, but just my suggestions. And they are self-identified as part of the LGBTQ community. They run 2 actually big YouTube channels. One is called Literally Surge. He's a poet and writer. And the other is called Literally Michael. They are both significant partners of each other's, and they also hold an art gallery. And I think it would be a great piece to add to the event. They're also survivors of Scientology, and so I think it would be a great addition. You can easily get a hold of them on their YouTube channels. So I just want to put that out there. Thank you.
Yes.
We have no other further virtual, no other public comment.
You, Ms. Papatian. So we want to thank the subcommittee again for all of your efforts, and we look forward to seeing you on October. Moving on to item number 8, report back from the ad hoc subcommittee for the Williams Institute LA County Wildfire Needs Assessment Project. This subcommittee is comprised of Commissioner Arntzen, Commissioner Vasquez, Commissioner Martin, and Commissioner Lelliott. The chair of this commission is Commissioner Arntzen. We'll return it over to you.
Thank you, Chair Placentia. We have met with Brad Sears from the Williams Institute to discuss the town hall. We're finalizing details, but the goal of the town hall is to hear directly from the LGBTQ plus community who were directly impacted by the fires, to understand their experience accessing services and supports after the fires. The Williams Institute will use the information provided during this town hall to provide feedback to the Department of Health Services about where the gaps of support are. As an ad hoc subcommittee, we are working with Brad on the logistics of the town hall. Have finalized the date, time, and location. The town hall will take place at the Altadena Public Library, 600 East Mariposa Street in Altadena on Wednesday, May 7th. There will be dinner served for participants starting at 5:30 p.m. and the town hall discussion will be held from 6 to 7:30 p.m. I'd also like to thank the San Gabriel Valley LGBTQ plus Center for hosting, for providing the free air purifiers. I will make sure to let you know when you can bring those over. Those will be given to the first 100 participants who attend. The 90-minute town hall, the first 20 to 30 minutes will be a presentation from the Department of Health Services about the data from the survey in the late winter followed by smaller focus group discussions aimed at understanding how specifically the LGBTQ+ community has been impacted by the fires and their access to support services. Our ad hoc subcommittee has been working with Brad on discussing the details of the event, logistics, and we will be helping by facilitating some of the focus group conversations and gathering the information the Williams Institute is looking to collect. If any of you who are not part of the subcommittee are interested in attending the event to support the logistics for focus groups, please let me or the executive director know. Finally, we're finalizing the outreach flyer and hope to have that available for dissemination by next week. The ad hoc subcommittee will also support by publicizing this event through our networks to bolster attendance. And once the outreach flyer is finalized, we can send that along so you can all send it to your communities. We appreciate Brad Sears and the team at the Williams Institute. And with that, turn it back to the chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Arnson, for your leadership and support in the city of Altadena and continuing to stand by the community and support all that is needed to move forward together. We'd love to hear what you think about this event moving forward. It sounds really great that we're partnering with the Williams Institute and that the subcommittee is able to provide direction and connection for this to take place. Commissioners?
Vice, thank you. Vice Chair Rogers, she, her. I always come from the mindset that data is power. And any kind of data that can be collected about the wildfire. I heard that there's some other surveys being done to really serve the community. But I think Williams Institute focusing on the LGBT community with this wildfire assessment can also spread to other events like that too. So it can become a pattern, a trend to collect data on all these kinds of things so that we can have a voice when it comes to FEMA, when it comes to wildfires and other kinds of natural disasters. So really glad to see this is happening and yeah, just really proud of you all.
Yeah, Second Vice Chair Russell Slavin, she, her, they, them pronouns. Also, incredibly grateful that this is happening. I will certainly do my best to attend. I think reflecting on my own experience, having lost my house in Altadena, anecdotally, it's been really interesting to have to deal with all of the just points of heterocentrism, the number of times I've been asked, what does my husband do? What is their income? What is, all of those things. And particularly because you're often dealing with people who aren't local in the process. And so I think, in my own kind of power and privilege to be able to walk through and navigate those conversations as compared to many other people, I just think there's so much to learn and also I think the other thing is we're just at the beginning points in terms of what the real impact is going to be. And this is a long process. And I worry that it will lose attention, and move on to the next thing. And I am hoping we can find ways to engage, how do we get this out? I'd be happy to help publicize it, all of those different things. Cause I just think we're really still in a pretty big dearth of information.
Second Vice Chair, and for sharing what you've lived and experienced as well. Commissioner Martin.
Oh, yes, I'm Commissioner Martin. I identify as she, her, Ella. Nick, I think it's Terry. Commissioners, I'm so sorry for the loss. I work with the California Department of Insurance. I'm their supervisor for Southern California. It's my day job. We are happy to say that we will be there to assist, just for the table. So those that need immediate help, we'll be there for you. My people.
Gracias, Commissioner Martin. So there are other opportunities for commissioners to be able to support as well as a part of the conversations after the initial data is shared, we will be breaking out into focus groups. And so we invite you to be able to facilitate those focus groups, open discussions to be able to hear and support community in that way. Please connect with the subcommittee or our ED to be able to ensure that we have you listed. Commissioner Hanson?
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson Heham. In case the commissioners weren't aware, and so the public knows, there was an informal survey in 2014 that revealed 24% of Altadenians identify as LGBTQ+.
Wow.
I'm making it second only to West Hollywood.
24?
24%.
Okay.
And I knew that growing up. You know, we can have a pride parade on my street.
You're in the 24%.
That's where they're at.
Executive Director Menon, she or they pronouns. One other thing, backing off of what the chair said, if any of the commissioners are interested in supporting with facilitating the focus groups, that will be scripted by the Williams Institute. So it's not something you will have to come up with because they're collecting data. So again, please let the chair or myself know.
Want to make it as easy as possible for you to be able to support. It would be great to have your presence there. So there's a clear support from the commission. Have any other thoughts, comments, reflections, questions? Move into public comment.
Reminder, each member of the public will be allotted 2 minutes to address the commission on item number 8. Public comment must be related to item number 8. We have one in person and we have 2 virtual. We're going to start with the in-person, Chichi Navarro.
Give it.
Love it. I'm gonna encourage it. Everyone, Chichi Navarro once again. I think that this is great and I am full support of the partnership with the Williams Institute. As it was mentioned, knowledge is power. I am going to ask that as you all are moving forward with this project, that we also have or hold some space to talk about the factors that led to these wildfires so that we can advocate to ensure that this doesn't happen again, right? This included like human ignition, right? I know that there's currently an investigation with SoCal Edison to figure out why this occurred in the first place, but we also know that other factors worsen the situation, like the Santa Ana winds. We had drought and low humidity, the dry vegetation, as well as climate change. So as we're talking about, or as we're undertaking this project, I urge us to also have that conversation on how to prevent this from happening again. Yes, talking about how do we help the folks that are struggling now, but also just to make sure that we're taking care of the cause and not just symptoms. Thank you.
Thank you. We have for our virtual public comment, we have Henry Marini. You are unmuted. Unmuted.
Yes, hello again. Henry Marini, he, him, his. I want to address this board's attention to a organization and company known as the Rev Group. And the reason why it's relevant is because they are actually the largest vendor and the sole consortium holder that services the LAFD trucks. One thing you should know particularly about the Rev Group is that they've had years, and I'm talking years, of terrible worker experience discriminating against LGBTQ identified employees. And it's also a fact, this is a story I've particularly followed for quite a long time now. It's a fact that they specifically have a big hand in actually allowing for the disrepair of the trucks, not only just in LA County, but also all across America, where they keep taking a bigger and bigger slice of the pie. There's direct personal financial incentives from Mayor Karen Bass into the Rev Group. And the fact of the matter is that this is not the first time they've done this. They basically use what's called disaster capitalism, right? They bank on the fact that these entities and areas will not actually follow through and prosecute and hold people like the Rev Group accountable for slashing budgets It's similar to what you'll see entities like McKinsey and Deloitte do, where you hire management consultants to essentially give frivolous statements, all leading to slashing staffers, and especially the most important staffers, be it maintenance people. And behind a lot of that is a lot of bigoted ideas, particularly with the Rev Group. It involves sheer outright hatred and discrimination against the LGBTQ community. I hope that makes it part of its way to this report, and it's been brought up to the attention of this board, and I hope you take it into serious consideration. It's called the Rev Group. Thank you.
Yes.
We next have Audit LA. You are unmuted.
Yes, good morning again, she, her, hers. And I just want to say I am so sorry for the commissioner that lost their house. That is horrific. And I admire you greatly for so soon being able to come here and press on. I thank you for that. And I agree with you that I think it's a shame that you, like, anyone would have to have assumptions made about them. And we do need to kind of change assumptions and language. And I know it's a boat that turns slowly, because myself, I'm part of the ADA community. I'm in a chair. You can very well see that I'm disabled, but there's a lot of people who are disabled that you can't really see, and they also get a lot of questions, and a lot of assumptions about them. So I am very aware of that concept. And hearing this from you, it really speaks to my heart. And I don't know what the answer is, but I think it's really important that we try to find out ways, maybe even through like the neighborhood council meetings or different commission meetings, and just bring more awareness. And I guess that is happening, but I think it's something that needs to be on the forefront. And I didn't even realize that 24% of Angelenos, are, consider themselves LGBTQ plus community. That's amazing. So really, if it's 1 out of 4, then nobody in LA should be asking you what's your husband's name. Like, we should know better. We should be doing better. We should be at the leading the way in that. And so I'm disappointed that that's not the case for you, Commissioner. And I hope that changes. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. We have no further public comment.
Gracias, everyone, for your public comment, and again to the subcommittee for all your work on this. Commissioner Arnson, for your leadership in holding and moving community forward. We'll move on to item number 9, report back from the Community Engagement Standing Subcommittee, CESS, about the finalized 2025 meeting schedule, adding community members to the CSS, and finalizing the talking points about the LGBTQ Commission for Commissioners. So as a reminder, the members of the Standing Subcommittee are Commissioner Arnson, Vice Chair Rogers, Commissioner Martinez, Commissioner Lelliot, and Chair Plasencia. Commissioner Arnson and I are co-chairs of the subcommittee. We will be giving the update for this item. So we met on March 26th. The subcommittee identified the following tasks we are working on, and we'll have more detailed updates on during the May Commission meeting. So number 1, we finalized the schedule. We have the final schedule for our next subcommittee meetings. Thank you so much. There they are on the screen from now until December. We invite you to calendar them. Make them a part of your day. They are held at the San Gabriel Valley LGBTQ Center in El Monte. Always very dynamic and interesting. We look forward to having you there. Number 2, we are adding 2 community members to the standing subcommittee. So this will increase our subcommittee to from 5 to 7 members, and they will count towards our quorum. We're working on a process on how to be able to identify these members, as they will not be considered commissioners, but they will be community members that are part of the sub. Number 3, last month we discussed creating a tracking document to be able to map and understand what the scope of LGBTQ organizations looks like throughout the county. Organizations such as RD, anti-racism, diversity, equity, inclusion already have this information. So we're working on identifying how we can make this information public and utilize it within our efforts. And number 4, we're working on finalizing 2 documents. One is high-level talking points about the duties and responsibilities for our commission. So we have a unified voice about how we're speaking about the LGBTQ commission. And secondly, we will solidify community engagement guidelines. Both are expected to be ready for the commission's review in May. So we're looking forward to sharing with you those with you, and so that we can provide more clarity and direction in how we are working with each other. Those are our updates from the CESS Standing Subcommittee. Are there any thoughts, questions, reflections around those updates about the subcommittee?
Commissioner Vasquez, he, him. Is there anything around the agenda? Is there gonna be like themes around these meetings or anything that like selfish is starting to think about like what's gonna be there? Should I come to this? How do I sign up for it? It's relevant.
We love your foresight and being able to prepare for those meetings, ensure you have the topics available. So as of right now, we are moving in the development of these. So these are the 4 main components that are guiding our work. So we would love to hear from you about who these community members can be. So being able to participate that way, as well as being able to think through more how we engage with community in a very strategic way. So we have a retreat coming up in June, and up until then, how do we engage with community? How can we potentially provide recommendations as well for what that can look like from the perspective of the advisory committee? From the, excuse me, standing subcommittee, lots of exciting components, and also more presence and hands that really need to be a part of this, because we are talking about engaging all of our communities. We want to do it in a very strategic way, and again, need more hands on that space. So we'd love to see you there.
Executive Director, men and she or they pronouns. Also, for clarification, the standing subcommittee is subject to the Brown Act. So we publish the agenda at least 72 hours ahead of time. On our website for members of the public, we have a section called meetings, aptly named. There's one for our commission meetings and one for community engagement standing subcommittee meetings. So once the agendas are published, they're added to our website. The public can attend our meetings the same way you attend here, either in person in El Monte or joining our lovely WebEx link that is also on the agenda. So invite all members of the public and other commissioners. You're welcome to join as members of the public as well.
Can't make it out in person to El Monte, able to join us, just like Commissioner Fisher is joining us virtually. Exciting things. If there's no discussion or comments from commissioners, we'll move to public comment.
As a reminder, each member of the public will be allotted 2 minutes to address the commission on item number 9. The comment must be related to item 9. We have 1 in person and we have 1 virtual public comment. We will start with in person, Chichi Navarro.
Oh, you didn't roll it this time. Hi, everyone. Chichi Navarro once again. I just want to say that this is exciting news. I will say that I'm available. I do understand the Brown Act, as I've served as a member of the neighborhood council for the city of Boyle Heights, as well as a commissioner for the city of Los Angeles. I checked the calendar dates. I'm available on all those dates. That out there. Thank you. Oh, y habla español también.
Thank you. We move on to virtual public comment. We have 2 now. We will start with Audit LA. You are unmuted.
Hi, yes, I would like to request that you pick a delegate that is also a part of the ADA community, because I think that it would be great to see both communities come together in one person. And I think that would, and I think vice versa, anything with the ADA community should also link up and have delegates, from the LGBTQ plus community. I just think it's a greater way to join forces and to help each other move forward. So that's a very strong request of mine that you would please pick one or at least try. And actually, I would like to see if you would seek out and really publish and try to really bring in the ADA community into your community with one of your delegates. And I yield back my time. Thank you.
Yes.
We have one more virtual public comment. Henry Marini, you are unmuted.
Yes, hello, Henry Marini, he, him, his, and I just want to second my good friend Audit LA's comment about the ADA delegate, and I actually want to propose a couple of possible ways that the CESS could possibly do this. One, you could invite neighborhood councils as part of the ongoing discussions and meetings for some of the one way could be you could solicit what's called the community impact statement report to be read onto the record during your CESS hearings. Another could be that you have either a new or an existing board member be the ADA delegate that helps attend as a representative to the neighborhood council meetings to make that direct connection between the voice of the constituents to the city and county level governments. And I think that's very important because from what I've seen so far, there's only the standard representation for city council members and mayors, but it's very far removed from actually having a direct voice on the ADA community being linked to the LGBTQ community, which I think we all know are two of the most vulnerable populations in LA County. And so I think that would be not only in this board's best interest, but also in your constituents' best interest to, at the very least, have it as a formal agenda item for consideration on what that might look like, on who you would appoint as such, and some of the possible solutions on how you could actually execute the person or persons being that delegate, which again I propose to be a representative that sits on a neighborhood council meeting as well as inviting for soliciting a CIS report, community impact statement report, during your CESS meetings and hearings. So just my 2 cents on that. Thank you.
Thank you. We have no further public comment.
Thanks everyone for your public comment, and thank you to the SGV LGBTQ Center for hosting our monthly meetings. Our next meeting is Wednesday, April 23rd at 5:30 in the city of El Monte at Mountain View Park. We invite you all to join us. Now moving into item number 10, discuss and take possible action on creating an ad hoc subcommittee to review and provide feedback to the LA County Department of Human Resources on the transgender awareness, working with constituents and colleagues, and LGBTQ 101 online training. Vice Chair Rogers will provide the update on this item. Vice Chair Rogers?
Thank you, Chair Placencia. The chair and I have met with the Department of Human Resources a few times to find ways to provide feedback and recommendations on how to improve county policies and trainings for LGBTQ+ inclusiveness. We have recently been asked to review the online transgender awareness training and LGBT 101 with the goal of providing feedback about training content topics, what information is missing, what needs to be updated or added. There are 2 trainings, and each are about an hour long and not required for county employees, but are provided on a training platform for any employees who are interested in completing them. Our goal is to provide our feedback to the full commission during the next commission meeting. So we will propose that an ad hoc subcommittee is formed to do this work. If the majority vote to create this, anyone who wants to be part of this would need to be able to work quickly, since we want to bring the feedback to the May commission meeting. With that, I'll turn it back over to the chair.
Gracias, Vice Chair Rogers. To clarify, it is not required. This training that we would be reviewing is not required. And being able to develop a team, an ad hoc committee to be able to review that is what's up for discussion. We would love to hear what you think around being able to move forward with this training. It is a training again that is optional within the county for folks to be able to participate in, and it needs our insight. It needs your expertise, your guidance, very much an overall review is needed of that for what we can provide within the county as direction and insight of who trans and queer people are. Your thoughts around that? Yes, Commissioner Whittington.
Thank you, Commissioner Placencia. Wanda Whittington, pronouns her, she, hers. I just have a question. Is optional. Why are we not considering?
Executive Director Menon, she or they pronouns, you are more than welcome to do that. Our responsibility within the motion and ordinance is to provide advice and recommendations. That could potentially be a recommendation that you all decide to make.
The other is a comment. I think it would be something that the commission should consider, given what's going on in the political climate around exclusion versus inclusion, given that county residents as employees and constituents and recipients of county care and tax-paying individuals, I think collectively we deserve the right to be treated with levels of dignity and respect. I believe all staff should be trained on this, who are in fact serving the county, and those that are potential employees. I think all staff should be trained on it as it relates to employee relations to ensure that they are representing collectively the best interest of the county at large and the initiatives set forth in the Board of Governance and the governing documents that oversee county processes.
Yes, Vice Chair Rogers.
Yeah, Vice Chair Rogers, she, her. I concur with, Whittington on that, I've done many of these trainings, and I think it should be along the lines of sexual harassment. It should be a yearly training that's required, that every employee should have. But I've also had pushback from companies that I've trained when I told them that it should be mandatory. And there's always been pushback of like, this is not the same. Why should we require this? Why are we making accommodations for you? All of those things have come up. So if we do push for it to be required, we have to have strong backing, statistics, and all those things behind it. So that it's not just pulling at heartstrings. Hopefully they'll do it, but actually show them that there's a need for this, to require for this, whether it be so you don't get sued, so you have protection, so you have all these other things, you get better productivity, all those kinds of things, all those things to put in there too. So it's not enough to just say morally you should be doing this. No, it's not enough. We have to have.
Commissioner Martin.
Thank you, Commissioner Martin. Now, totally agree with Commissioner Whittington, of course, Commissioner Rogers. Just as we heard earlier from one of the comments from the public, was a story about the 5150. There's a lot of things that we're not even aware of that our family is experiencing. I think that reaching out and having this program will put us in a good direction. One that other people can, other cities, other counties. I think it's great. It's fantastic.
Oh, our next move, yes, that is the process. Being able to discuss having an ad hoc committee to be able to move these efforts forward. It's clear that it's needed and that must be packaged and presented in order to be able to ensure that it moves forward in a way where we also understand that this is part of common sense, that understand that this is also very basic. It's the start of how the LA County internally could make this shift to recognize trans and queer existence by being able to tailor our systems and approach for trans and queer people. Basic. And so the ad hoc committee would be looking at this training to be able to assess the changes that need to be made, as well as making recommendations for how to move forward with this training and how to be able to implement it especially after there's all this comprehensive review that the ad hoc committee will also be diving into. Thank you, Commissioner Martin, for being able to be a part of that committee. Are there any other interests from other commissioners? Okay, Commissioner Whittington, thank you. Do we have a third? This is not the only time. You can chime in and provide feedback, insight. We've all either given or participated in trans and queer trainings and have had feedback. And so all things that will be brought back to the commission to be able to collectively advance as well. Thank you to Commissioner Martin and Commissioner Whittington again for joining the party with Vice Chair Rogers and myself in being able to advance the committee's initiatives. Okay, if there's no other discussion, do we have a motion to be able to create this ad hoc subcommittee? Motion by Commissioner Martin, a second.
Second.
By Commissioner Martinez. And again, the members of this ad hoc subcommittee would be Commissioner Martin, Commissioner Whittington, Vice Chair Rogers, and Chair Plasencia. Okay. Now we'll take it to public comment.
As a reminder, each member of the public will be allotted 2 minutes to address the commission on item number 10. Public comment must relate to comment to item number 10. We have 2 in-person and we have 2 virtual public comment. We will start with in-person. We have Aaron Elliott T.
Good morning. Good morning. Chair and commissioners and commission staff, thank you for having me. My name is Aaron Elliott T. I am a manager at Los Angeles County, and I'm here today in a personal capacity, the red comment for item number 10. I respectfully ask for your aye votes on the formation of this committee, this subcommittee, to evaluate these trainings that we have for our staff on the analyzing the content and the delivery, as well as the real world effects of these trainings that for our transgender and gender expansive staff and part of our workforce, right? Los Angeles County is, if not, I think the largest county employer in the in all of the United States, and often serves as an example for other counties who look to us on how to structure their programs and trainings. So it is really crucial that we identify how these trainings elevate the experience of our TGI workforce in the event, and we most often do, that the other counties look onto us for this as a model. I also urge the ad hoc subcommittee to look into the impacts of these trainings and what they have on TGI talent recruitment for the county. It is essential. We have members of our workforce that have these lived experiences to deliver the services that we have. Specifically we do have programs that require these lived experiences from our workforce. And of course, at the same time, it is essential that we want an environment where our TGI, the members of our workforce thrive in this environment. Again, thank you. And I urge everyone for your support on this item.
Yes.
Then we have also Chichi Navarro.
Not rolling it anymore. Una, dos, tres, energy. Everyone, Chichi Navarro once again. I just want to showcase my full support for something like this, and also note that there are not only folks, individuals, but also organizations that do provide this type of work or services. So I recommend also relying on that. I think that this is a great opportunity for this body, not only to engage in this subcommittee and provide some input to the county, but also to take it a step further, right? And start thinking about legislation that needs to be enacted, not only county, but statewide in the state of California, right? California offers LGBTQIA plus folks some of the best protections in the United States and the world, but we can always do better. So I'm excited to see this from you all. And if I can help in any way, again, I'm here. Gracias.
We also have 2 virtual public comment. We have Henry Marini. You are unmuted.
Thank you, Henry Marini, he, him, his. And to one of the commissioners' point about needing support to actually prove the case for the training, first of all, I want to say I vote yes for this, and I hope you do too. I'll give you a personal example, okay? This actually happened as of recently. So there's a committee member who essentially had a nervous breakdown. It was quite clear that they were under immense pressure. What ended up happening was that they made very clear that they were having a mental breakdown and essentially openly threatened suicide upon themselves. And the issue at hand was that no aftercare nor support was provided for this individual. I don't want to out their name, but I'm happy to discuss it afterwards privately. And essentially, the members of the public who were in attendance actually followed up with them. And I think it's very clear, right, as this one case clearly illustrates. Rest of the board members were totally clueless on what to do. I don't necessarily blame them on that part since they literally had zero training on this. I mean, how can you possibly be expected to respond effectively if you literally do not have the skills to do so? But it's very clear, right? It's very clear this is a big issue. And I think another way you can actually get direct support to further the case to actually legitimize it and execute an action is direct working with the neighborhood councils from all across LA County, as again they have direct voice of the constituents at hand, as well as working closely with city and county level committees, and would be able to accurately provide via hard evidence as numbers and personal case stories like the one I just mentioned to you. And so I urge you to reach out to the various neighborhood councils. My friend Audit in LA and I are very well in touch with them as members of the public, and I just want to bring that to your attention.
Your time has expired.
Yes.
Audit LA, you are unmuted.
Yes, hi, she, her, hers. And I just want to say I fully agree with what you're doing. And I hope that as you do this ad hoc committee and you look into this further, that what you find that you would also bring it down to the cities within the county so they can benefit from everything that you are doing. And I'm gonna, tag on to what my good friend Henri said about the situations with the 5150s. I was at that meeting, and I don't think that they really take. There's not enough training when it comes to, and this is where it blends with the ADA issues as well, with mental health issues, and you can have. There's a lot of people when there's been numerous incidences, okay, of people who are in mental health crisis, okay, including LGBTQ plus community, and this is about training, okay, that they end up at the
Your
wrong
comment
end.
be related to the topic?
The ad hoc committee, yes. This is what I'm saying. This is something I really want you to look into because it's very serious. Okay, I'm trying to tell you that there's people that die, okay, at the hands of sometimes the police department or whatever because of being in a mental health crisis. And it affects your community. It does. And recently, okay? And so I am saying, as you are doing this, to please really have a strong emphasis on, how training on how to deal with mental health crises. I was at a meeting where a person said they wanted to kill themselves and they just continued the meeting as if nothing happened. Okay, and that it could affect that person could have been part of your community, could have been part of, the ADA community. I don't know. But these are things that need to be asked and they need to be looked into. It's serious, and so so it is relevant. And with that, I will yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Yes.
We have no further public comment.
Thanks everyone for your public comment. With that, we'll be moving into a vote into creating the ad hoc subcommittee to review the Department of Human Resources online trainings. We will be doing a roll call vote to consider our virtual commissioner. Annie, gracias for your support.
For item number Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Arnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Kwan Van Buena, Commissioner Elliott,
Aye.
Commissioner Martinez,
Yes.
Commissioner Martin,
Aye.
Commissioner Soria, Commissioner Vasquez,
Aye.
Commissioner Whittington,
Aye.
and Vice Chair Russell Slavin.
Aye.
Chair Rogers
Aye.
and Chair Placencia.
Sí.
7 ayes. No, 12 ayes. Apologize. 12 ayes.
Yes, with 12 ayes, the motion carries. We now have an ad hoc subcommittee that will review DHR online training.
Alright.
That consists of Commissioner Martin, Commissioner Whittington, Vice Chair Rogers, and Chair Johnson. I'm looking forward to continuing the work with you all. Now we're moving forward into item number 11, discuss and take possible action discharging the Building Trust Summit Ad Hoc Subcommittee. The update will be provided by Second Vice Chair Russell Slavin, who is a part of the committee, along with Commissioner Can Valbuena. Gracias for the update.
Thank you. As a reminder, we created this ad hoc subcommittee in December 2024 when the second part of the Building Trust Summit was expected to take place in May 2025. Unfortunately, due to the current administrative cuts in DEI programs at the Department of Justice, the state's Department of Justice, who was leading this effort, was no longer able to provide support of funding. Following that, the LA Civil Rights Department also stepped down from leading this process. And then subsequently and horribly, Linda Becerra Moran was killed by the LAPD. The confluence of these events has led to the Building Trust Summit being postponed or potentially canceled. The ad hoc subcommittee was created to provide support on this project, and now there is no summit taking place. Due to this, I am recommending that we discharge this ad hoc subcommittee. If in the future another event is planned, we can discuss the commission's participation. And with that, I turn it back to the chair for commissioner feedback.
Update, Vice Chair Russell Slavin. Commissioner feedback, thoughts, reflections. Vice Chair Rogers.
Vice Chair Rogers, she, her. Disappointing. Like the first word that comes to my head is just disappointing. Just getting people to come to these summits has been already difficult because of the distrust of law enforcement. And we thought these summits in these would build the bridge. There are certain grassroots organizations that don't want to deal with law enforcement at all, right? And so little by little, we have been nudging, urging, that we got to have some kind of conversations, and to see this just fall apart now, it just makes me fearful of how much there's going to be more of this kind of no discussion and stuff. I did come across the LGBTQ liaison at the job fair at LACC, and I gave them my card, and hopefully there'll be some kind of contact. But I feel like one liaison does not trust make. You know, we need more. So I feel like I wonder if we could have, you know, get together and do a town hall, or like just because it's canceled doesn't mean the subject isn't important. Just because it's canceled doesn't mean that we don't need to have these kinds of discussions. Um, yeah, I'm just really saddened.
Mr. Rogers. Questions, comments from the commission?
And move that we discharge the subcommittee.
We have a motion to discharge the ad hoc subcommittee. Do we have a second?
Second.
By Vice Chair Rogers. And now we'll move into public comment.
Reminder, each member of the public will be allotted 2 minutes to address the commission on item number 11. Have 1 in-person public comment and 2 virtual public comment. Also, public comment must be related to item number 11. Chichi Navarro.
Great. Chichi Navarro once again. I am going to speak in support of action to cancel this ad hoc. I think as Vice Chair Rogers mentioned, one of the things that I experienced while being part of the committee putting on the Building Trust Summit was that building trust was supposed to be for law enforcement, not so much the other way around. And so to me, that made no sense when, and the other thing that for me was we were trying to work towards, or that I mentioned, was to focus on policy, right? Focus on changing not only the budget that is being afforded to law enforcement and try to refocus that on mental health, on substance abuse, on housing, on workforce development, on all the things that will actually take care of the cause and not just treating symptoms. And I think that as a body here, that should be the focus as well, right? Focusing on the policy to make sure that our communities aren't being criminalized and to make sure that the people who are already in prisons or in jail are being treated with respect. And that goes to not specifically for trans people who are often in prison and their rights are not being respected. Their genders are not being respected, right? Youth as well that is incarcerated. So I'm in full support of dismantling this, but also if the body is going to focus on law enforcement, then we need to take an approach of actually changing the laws that are in place to make sure that our people are being protected. And again, we are running into right now the budget that should be finalized for the county in June, I believe. Wait, May, I believe. May or June, I don't remember. So also focusing on that for next meetings, right? To say, how do we mobilize communities?
Your time has expired.
Yes.
Moving on to public comment, we have Natasha Owens. You are unmuted.
I've never attended this meeting. This is my first time. I plan to attend in the future. But I work for Long Beach Police Department. I'm a special services officer there. And I'm also my department's first out transgender omnisexual officer in its history, as far as I'm aware. And And I was really saddened to learn about the breakdown of this trust summit. I understand the reasons why completely, but I hope that this isn't just an end or an ending point to exploring this. I hope that it's a beginning to see just like what needs to be done, how much effort we need to put into this. And I think at the county level, these, you know, the county board of supervisors is in a very strategic position to be able to push policies, to push training, to push et cetera on these county and municipal law enforcement agencies in order to create a better world for both their LGBTQ plus employees and for the public. So I hope that this can be an example to show, yeah, something needs to be done about this and what can we do about it? Because personally, I can say from my own experience in my department, I, I would not call my coming out and transition experience to be fun, you know, and it's had its challenges, and I would really hope that the county can create these policies and laws to change that for people in the future.
Yes.
Next, we have Audit LA. You are unmuted.
Yes, hi. I am very saddened to hear that the summit fell through as well. I also advocate a lot dealing with issues with LAPD. The thing with the summit and like you were talking about building bridges, I love the concept of building bridges. But when you build a bridge, it's almost like you're asking, you know, okay, we want to ask you to look at this, we want to ask you to do better and all these things, and that's great. But there's been many people for many years asking. I think it's at the time where it has to be more of a demand. I'm sorry after what happened with Linda Moran, and there's other people as well. Just there's many victims. Okay, it's not just Linda Moran, and none of these things should have happened. And you know, she was in a crisis, and you know, and so you're dealing with that aspect. And but there's also just what about recruiting? They just came out with a flashy new recruiting video. There's nothing that you could tell they're trying to recruit. They would like to recruit more women. They're underserved in the women, but there's no seeing any outreach that I can tell for the LGBTQ plus community. And in fact, I know that their recruiters, their recruiting department is in a lot of hot water because there's two people that have been found out to be saying very horrible things about different people from different communities. And so there is a huge problem. So building the bridge may not, maybe down the road, or maybe that was a time of the past to build bridges. Maybe now it's more demanding and really just advocating. And it could be done in a way that's not, you know, we don't have to be nasty and rude and mean, but to be heard and saying, this has got to stop. We don't want people in mental crisis who, you know, being killed. We don't want you to neglect our community. Like you're saying, I'm sure I bet there's plenty of LGBTQ plus community officers who in different, you know, transitioning or whatever. And I can't say for sure because I'm not part of LAPD, but I have a
Thank you. Your
feeling it's
time
probably
has
really hard for
expired.
them.
Yes.
And next, we have Henry Marini. Unmuted.
Yes, hi, Henry Marini, he, him, his. One of the other things I wanted to bring to this board's attention, in addition to the disbanding, is it is within your authority to write letters of affidavit for not just the sheer act of a disband, but the board's thoughts overall. And you can clearly bring that up as an agenda item for a consensus and discussion to then submit formally. And I think that's very powerful because oftentimes what I see, and I'm not saying this committee is guilty of it, but what I do see of many other committee bodies is they will take an action for moving on something, but they forget that they can also bring forward an action to write simple letters of support in addition to simply just voting yes or no on something. I've seen it happen, particularly, for example, in the LAPD Police Commissioners Board that ties into this, where essentially they set up these astroturfing groups that make it seem and give the appearance that they are trying to build connections in order to actually give powerful voices via not only a voting right, but to actually demand power and to take action upon. But the fact of the matter is they don't. And again, I urge this board not just to do the action of voting to disband, but to actually put on consideration for writing a letter, an affidavit, simply stating what is his board's overall stance and thoughts on the actions that have occurred recently, which we all know are not unique. They are not one-offs, they are repeated. And to the one commenter that made the point about Linda Moran, that has to do with so many other issues, right? The defunding of MEU units, and it's deliberate. And the person that was, I had racial slurs made against them by the LAPD regarding recruiting, that was William Good. Okay, they said some of the most disgusting things about William Good openly. So thank you.
Your time has expired.
No further public comment.
Thanks everyone for your public comment. We'll now be moving into a vote to discharge the ad hoc subcommittee for the Building Trust Summit. And again, we will be taking a roll call.
Commissioner Abraham? Commissioner Arnzen? Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Khan Van Buena? Absent. Commissioner Elliott? Commissioner Martinez? Commissioner Martin?
Aye.
Commissioner Soria?
Aye.
Commissioner Vasquez?
Aye.
Commissioner Whittington?
Aye.
Second Vice Chair Russell Slavin?
Aye.
Vice Chair Rogers?
Abstain.
Chair Placencia?
See.
Motion passes with 11 ayes and 1 abstain.
Yes, Ms. Abapian. Thank you, everyone. We will now move forward to item number 11, miscellaneous matters not posted. Matters not posted on the agenda are to be placed on the agenda for discussion and action at a future meeting of the LGBTQ Commission. Topics that are recommended for future agenda items must be related to the work of the LGBTQ Commission as identified in the ordinance. If commissioners have anything they'd like to add to the agenda, please let us know. And as a reminder, those topics that are not up for discussion now, but will be added for a future agenda. Is there anything that folks would like to add? Vice Chair Rogers.
Vice Chair Rogers, she, her. From what the public comment, I wonder if we could have a letter of our disappointment of the building, just summit being canceled, put on the agenda.
Yes, Vice Chair Rogers. Gracias, Commissioner Soria.
Commissioner Soria, in his. I'm braining right now. Yeah, I'd like to see if we can somehow put on the agenda to possibly discuss an ad hoc committee for addressing the topic of mental health comes up in almost every topic that we talk about, we discuss. But perhaps creating an ad hoc committee or somehow being able to address, figuring out ways how we can address the defunding of the mental health units or address happening in the community when it's when someone gets killed by LAPD. We talked about trainings and on the tail end of that training, that LGBTQ plus 101, I hear a lot about what about mental health, and it creates it goes into two different, perhaps making it required, LGBTQ plus mental health. Don't know what form it would look like, but like I was trying to get something in by May because I realized LA County Mental Health Month is in May, and the second week of May is LGBTQ plus mental health. We get 1 week. And then I said, no, we don't get a week. This should be an ongoing, perhaps ad hoc committee that we can continue to address mental health issues in our community and how we can just not let these things slide. Keep going and going and going, so that's stopping.
Soria.
Commissioner Tanya Martin, she, her pronouns. With Pride Month coming up, I'd like to possibly, something from us, either getting out in the community, introducing yourselves, or advocacy and something to show that we're here. We're clear.
Going anywhere.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Martinez?
Commissioner Martinez, he, him, his. Not sure if it's an action or maybe it could be a presentation first, or possibly an action item, is that I would like to invite the Justice Care Opportunities Department to give a presentation. And also my understanding that to spend X amount of funds from Measure J that has yet to be invested into the community. And I think the possible action is how we can give a recommendation how those funds could be invested into the community. But I think first we would like to get a presentation from the department.
Yes, Commissioner Martinez. Hand over here. Abraham?
And I had a question about the Pride Month activities. Is it possible for the commission to be involved in any of the parades or be with any of our supervisors that are participating? Is there something that we can do to step up during that time?
Executive Director Menon, she, they pronouns, as a reminder that in this section, we don't have discussion. It's just a comment.
Make a comment. I would this meeting agenda is the role of the commission during Pride Month festivities.
Gracias, Commissioner Abraham.
Commissioner Soria, including Pride Night at Dodger Stadium.
Just for your comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Soria. Added to the agenda is joining Pride Month at Dodgers.
Other commissioners? So now we will, if there are no other topics, we'll move into item number 13, public comment. Annie, do we have any final public comment?
We have, as a reminder, each member of the public will be allotted 2 minutes to address the commission on item number 13. First, we have 2 in-person public comment, and we have 2 virtual. In person, we will start with Joe Green.
Hello again, everyone. Joe Green. Happy Good Friday. It's good to be here with all of you good people. So on April 10th, we had our commission meeting, and I'm going to let Chi-Chi share the wonderful thing that we did. We passed a solidarity statement in support of the transgender, gender expansive, intersex, and two-spirit communities. If you go to our website, hiv.lacounty.gov, it's right at the top of the homepage. So please take a look at that. I know our executive director shared that with yours executive director, so you should have gotten it hopefully. But if you haven't, it's there. Also on May 10th or April 10th, we had a contingency planning meeting. We have 28 categories that we can do funding in, and our worst case scenario budget contingency was eliminated all of the service categories but 4. And those were medical case management, outpatient ambulatory, non-medical case management, and medical transportation. That was an elimination potentially of all other service categories that are there. Since then, on April, last Tuesday, we had our contingency planning meeting, and we did line item reductions by approximately 25%. On May 1st, we're having another emergency planning meeting to adjust the budget yet again. We did receive word from the feds verbally through Dr. Green that there's an ongoing initial award that will be coming to us. It hasn't been coming in paper yet, but going to be flat funding. The CDC, there's no prevention money anymore. EHE has been zeroed out, so there's no EHE money. This was in the leaked budget. Oh, ending the HIV epidemic. Forget my acronyms. So we have a lot of meetings coming up. It's very important. At the last meeting, there were no transgender members.
Your time has expired.
Please come. Thanks.
Yes.
Next, we have Chi Navarro.
I love it.
Hi, everyone. Chicho Navarro, any pronoun again. I'm just going to reiterate. So the Transgender Caucus, alongside the Commission on HIV, came up with a solidarity statement for the TGI2S+ community. Hopefully, you can add that to the agenda for next month. We would love your support on this. I'm not entirely sure how that would look like, but we can talk about it next month. I also want to urge you, as you a dialogue about Pride festivals, is that you also look into Pride festivals that hyper focus on TGI plus communities like Trans Pride LA, Trans Pride Long Beach, which are events that often get overlooked for the LGBT plus events that take place. And then on top of that, I know that Martinez will share at some point, but May 1st, we do have an event happening. So I invite you to all of that, and I'm sure that he will share a ton of information about that. So, thank you.
Yes.
We're moving on to virtual comment. First, Henry Morini are unmuted.
Yes, hi, Henry Marini, he, him, his. I just want to wrap up a couple of points I've made so far. So I've traveled all across the US. I've done quite a bit of reporting. My particular focuses are on law enforcement, okay, and the way that law enforcement takes a lot of dirty money from technology companies, one of which I've mentioned is the Rev Group. And one of the things I always point out to different boards is that this one in particular is the first of its kind all across America, okay? It's quite unique in that you guys are quite large, not only at the county level, but also the force you can exert at the city level. I urge you to actually throw that weight around with serious fortitude, because you do have some serious power here, not only to enact legislation, but actually, again, I keep pointing writing letters because they are very important. I've been through a lot of different court cases. I've sat at different court cases, and oftentimes what makes or breaks the deal is whether a city or county agency actually writes letters of affidavit for or against something, as well as their opinion piece on it, and it is taken into serious consideration. This board is in a very unique standing to do such a thing, particularly for prosecutorial stances on taking action against LAPD, not just at the civil level, but also urging other entities like at the federal level to prosecute entities like the LAPD for their egregious behavior. And you do have the money, you do have the size, and you do have the history behind you to actually have some serious weight to make it happen. You can contact me, info@filmthepoliceusa.com. My good friend Audit LA, she can be reached at audit.in.la@gmail.com. And again, we've been covering these issues for quite a while, and particularly within your county, Scientology is a big, big factor in corruption within the government. So thank you for your time.
Next, we have Audit LA. You are unmuted.
I've become a staunch advocate for survivors of Scientology because it encompasses so much that you're not even aware of. And right now, I want to advocate for two friends of mine, Serge Del Mar, who has a YouTube channel at Literally Serge, and Nora Ames, who has a YouTube channel at What's Up with Nora. And because both of them are, Serge is gay, Nora is lesbian, and they grew up in Scientology, in the Sea organizations, particularly, there's different sects. And they were not allowed, like you're not allowed to be gay in Scientology. Isn't that insane? L. Ron Hubbard, and now L. Ron Hubbard has said many things, like in the Book of Dianetics, which they still pass out and push and sell, okay? And it's very anti-LGBTQ plus and ADA. And and so they don't, but they've never come out and denied or renounced it because they can't go against anything L. Ron Hubbard said. So as of today, there are Scientology places right here in your community, and they will not renounce the horrible things about that the LGBTQ plus community or degraded beings, that they're low on the tone scale. And they won't say it about the ADA community either. They will not come out and denounce it. And yet and they punish, like I know Nora, like I believe she was a teenager, was put into their correctional facility to be changed because she kissed a girl. Um, that like as if something that was something that she shouldn't be doing and she needs to be fixed. Okay. Surge 2 is that, you can't beat yourself there in Sea Org. So he was pushed to live a heterosexual life, and it just isn't fair. I'm concerned that this is still going on for children who are growing up, in Scientology. And
Thank you. Your time has expired.
Next, we have Natasha Evans. You are unmuted.
Hi, Natasha Ewens, she, her. I just wanted to follow up on my topic comment earlier. I would really like to urge this committee to create some kind of follow-up on the breakdown of that summit. I think human beings are naturally comfortable maintaining status quo. That's just something that comes naturally, and I think it comes naturally to agencies and these law enforcement agencies that you guys have the power to push change, to push a new normal. And I think that this can be done through low cost means, through the creation of policies and laws at the county level, through the creation of mandatory trainings, etc. But I think that aiming for that cultural shift is something that could be a very positive thing, in light of what you all learned from the breakdown of this summit. So I really hope that that doesn't go by the wayside, because it seems like something that a lot of people really want. So I just urge that you create some kind of follow-up action investigation committee to investigate what kind of means you can do at the county level to create that cultural change. So that's all. I yield my time.
Cool.
Yes.
We have no further public comment.
Thank you, everyone, for your public comment, for your input, feedback, and recommendations. With item number 14 being adjournment, we'd like to thank you all for being here today. We look forward to doing the work from now until the next meeting, which is taking place Friday, May 18th at 9:30. This meeting is adjourned at 12:33. We're taking a cooperacha.
Emo level you got there. Wait.
City council.
Oh, that's like some.
Yeah, thank you. Like, Margaret.
Well, that was interesting. Looks like that was the wrap up part, but again, I keep telling people, right? Take all the Scientology part out of it just for the sake of argument, okay? Because again, really, Scientology is a symptom. They're not the root cause of, right? They're a symptom. They're not unique at all, frankly, in what they do. I've said this countless times. They're no different than any other AstroTurf front group, where essentially they're used as a mechanism to do corrupt and criminal acts and hide behind some sort of veil, okay? I mean, it's pretty well documented, right? You have real estate companies that will use front groups from Scientology to purchase mass chunks of real estate and use it as a tax loophole. You have businesses like those in the technology sector that will use this veil to plant different individuals to basically influence lawmaking and have political agendas to deliberately push forward some sort of bigoted idea, right? And exert influence on people. The issue is when I see committees like this that are quite large, and not only that, but quite powerful in that they have big access to money. They're sizable in how many commissioners they actually have on the board. And with respect to how many subcommittees they have, it's very bizarre to me, and it's very frustrating to see sort of like a learned helplessness of sort, where these guys have some serious weight behind them. Okay, and they're operating at a much higher level at the county level, meaning they have access to much higher levels of resources, much bigger audience, and they can collect from the whole that is Los Angeles, not within just a small pocket or a small neighborhood, not just within the valley, but the whole greater community of Los Angeles County. And the fact of the matter is, this particular board is unique in all across America. Vast majority of states do not have stuff like this. And the fact of the matter is that they have specific subcommittees, even in addition to the regular standing board as it is at the county level. And the fact that they even meet. And that the fact that they meet virtually, that is accessible to all. That is not the norm. And I say that in a good way. I mean that in a good way, because this is the role model that the rest of America takes after. Los Angeles, I keep saying this again, is not only the cultural icon of America, but the rest of America that is serious takes after legislative moves that LA County does. It is that powerful. It is that influential. And this commission has some serious weight behind it to show positive change and what that looks like in a positive manner. I mean, it sounds silly, but literally just the mere act of writing a letter, that act alone is huge. I mean, it sounds goofy, but that's because it really is just that straightforward and simple. To write a letter, a dissenting or a supporting of XYZ action. That is something that each of these commissions has the authority and power to do. And it has not only legal weight, but also legislative weight. And they can escalate it in all manner of channels. And that's ultimately what happens when big cases come through that are landmarks. And ultimately those landmarks help shape all these other isolated, that were once isolated cases, but now are threaded in together for the better. And so I seriously hope they move forward with the recommendations and actually writing letters. I mean, it's not rocket science. Like, it really is just that straightforward. To formally hold as an agenda item a consideration for writing a letter in support of, or, denouncing whatever. Insert topic here. I mean, what happened to Linda Moran is not only recent and relevant, but it's such an easy one to come together to write a letter on. I mean, it's literally being handed to you on a silver platter, and this commission should have already done that. Meaning they should have already had an agenda item to discuss the writing of a letter. They haven't even done that yet, right? So that's the kind of gross lack of oversight I see. It's like that you should do this. You do have the power to do this, and you don't need to wait on anybody else. So I hope they, I have high hopes, but we'll see. But again, that's the kind of power that each of these commissions have. And some are much better at doing it than others. I mean, the Disability Commission is way better at doing just that compared to every other commission at the city and county level. So I'll just leave it at that. And I'll see you guys in the next one.